Yes. All right. Welcome back to UroTherapy training course number 35. This is our second in a series of 5. We're going to start off with a prayer this morning, which is different than our prayer last time. Last time we did the sacred water prayer from the Native Americans. This one is taken from the Head, Heart, and Hand decrees from the Summit Lighthouse. The messenger was Elizabeth Clare Prophet back in the 60s. And so this is different than a call or response. I'm just going to read it. It's from Master Kutumi, and I want you to notice the similarity between how some of these words sound just like Shivambu. Yeah, that's how these things work. All right, it's called I Am Light. I am light, glowing light, radiating light, intensified light. God consumes my darkness, transmuting it into light. This day I am a focus of the central sun. Flowing through me is a crystal river. There it is. A living fountain of light that can never be qualified by human thought and feeling. I am an outpost of the divine. Such darkness as used me is swallowed up by the mighty river of light, which I am. I am light. I live in light. I am light's fullest dimension. I am light's purest intention. I am light, flooding the world everywhere I move, blessing, strengthening, and conveying the purpose of the kingdom of heaven. So be it.
So be it.
Here's to your help. All right, I will be turning my phone off, so I'm putting it on shush. Okay. So, the Shivambu Wisdom Chart. Can you name anything from the chart?
Woo-hoo.
You said you don't mind pop quizzes.
Well, I can remember from my last lesson, Shivambu is an intuitive medicine.
Correct.
Because I have to say that first before I question. So I learned my lesson last time because I bugged you in Messenger. And, that was the exact thing that you told me. So it stuck. It reminded me of the first rule.
Good. And you'll remember that when someone asks you questions and you know they can figure it out. All right, number 2, Shivambu works regardless of our considerations. The beautiful thing.
These clusters of 10 were in every major city.
What is that? Okay. Was that from either one of your devices, or we've been hacked?
Yeah, I'm shutting stuff down, clearing off my desktop so I can stay focused.
Okay. So, Waza, the beautiful thing about urine therapy, Shivambu, is that it doesn't require dogma, rules, obligations, anything. You follow your intuition, drink it every day, apply the applications. You cannot mess this up. The only way you can mess it up is to walk away from it.
Yeah, I understand that.
All right. It also works, and it doesn't matter whose you use. This is the beautiful thing about being a universal panacea, is it works, and I've already given examples this morning with you, Waza. It works regardless if it's a man's, a woman's, an adult, a child, a healthy person, a sick person, a different race, a different species. It still will help. And we have lots and lots of testimonials that are coming out through either the social media platforms, or there's an awesome website called Shirley's Wellness Cafe. A girl named Shirley Liscombe. She's been building this website since the internet started for like 30-something years.
Oh, wow.
She has all kinds of health-related modalities, recipes, teachings, etc. She's got a bunch of stuff on testimonials on urine therapy for either pets or humans. Shirley's Wellness Cafe. If you can't find it, just reach out to me.
Bang, there it is.
There she is. I'd love to interview her someday. We haven't got to that yet.
Follow. There you go.
So Shivambu is an evolving, I'm going through the list real quick here. It's an evolutionary or evolving water, which means the moment you collect it, it's in evolving mode. It's gaining in stem cells, nutrients, antibodies, thousands and thousands of things. As long as you're keeping it stored somewhere, it's going to keep evolving and maturing. And we also had a talk the last class, Waza, that nobody has yet to come up with a standard form of determining what is considered aged urine.
Okay.
John W. Armstrong in 1944 suggested the measurement was 4 days.
Okay.
When I met Dr. Rosalind Hansen at the Water of Life Symposium in Vegas in 2018, she's a naturopath, and she suggested 9 months was the time it's considered age because that's gestation period for a baby.
Ah, yeah. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. So you got a lot of flexibility about how you want to determine what it's considered aged or evolving. Some people have collected their water and they've had it for anywhere from 10 to 20 years. Which, like,
That's interesting.
we need to put together a museum of, fine wine of all our waters.
Well, they do age wine, right?
They
Does
do.
get better with age.
Yes, I know. Same thing is related to kombucha. So, Shivam, have you heard yet about saturation dosing? I know I mentioned that to Ken. Saturation dosing is a term that I teach and use. It's basically the addition of all the other protocols along with the oral use. So when most people come into the urine therapy work and practice, all they know about is the oral use. However, when you start bringing in eyes and ears and nose and mouth and enemas and fasting and so forth and foot soaks, you're able to drive nutrients everywhere.
Yep.
Instead of waiting for it to go through the system and get to its designated organ, you can help it out dramatically. There are no such thing as an incurable disease. You guys caught that yet?
Yeah.
The only thing you cannot cure is what you say you cannot cure. I get people reaching out to me every day. They've got the worst of the worst. For some reason, they got the one condition that nobody knows how to heal. They call it the incurable. And I've already mentioned this to Ken. The first thing you want to do is tell them to stop identifying with the name of the disease. And then get into the purifying and the detoxing part of your life. And the last thing which we talked about, Ken, and I ended up making a video about it, that Shivambu has a consciousness. For those that want to think that maybe there's an intelligence that comes with the body, that we've been designed by the Creator to be able to regenerate and heal anything without outside help or supplementation or whatever it takes. And so we're learning that through urine therapy. We're learning that in our wellness practices. We're learning it in our bodies' use as a laboratory. And this is what we're all doing, is we're using our body to get to know it much better and to be able to assist it in ways that we couldn't before. So any questions? Waza, do you have any questions to help move us into today's class?
No.
I'm
Yeah,
good on my
good.
side.
Go ahead, Ken.
I said I'm good on my side. I'm good.
All right, excellent. By any chance, between here and last time we met, did you guys introduce urine therapy to anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't go down well.
That's a lovely double pun there. Okay.
Some people are open to different types of things, and some people are not.
Well, how to go across, Ken? Were they open to it?
Well, I think I mentioned the other doc. I had already introduced her to it, and she started soaking her feet. She's now, so I'm claiming this as an introduction. She's teaching her son, he's a little thing. He's like 10 years old, like my son, like my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So she has introduced him to it as well already. So I'm taking that as part of my introduction, because I told her what's good for you is just as good for your child. So the sooner that you can introduce it, the better. And we're doing a family, a special month in July. So in July, we're taking a major, that whole month is about purification, cleansing for the entire family and our cat. So we'll be going through all the cleansing and detoxing, and we'll be introducing urine therapy at that time topically on the body to start my children into recognizing its potential, becoming comfortable with their own medicine, and getting them open to the consciousness. I think by doing it all at the same time, they'll be more open to it because they're going to become lighter as we purge. Well, it'll be 100% raw as a family that month. So no cooked foods that month. We're going to lighten our bodies dramatically.
Excellent, excellent. That's going to be quite an experience for all of you guys.
And I'm looking forward to it because I feel like if we do it as a family, then we can remove a lot of the fear from it. You know, that's how I introduced cleansing to my kids years ago. Was like, let's all do it together. We're going to do a gut cleanse. We all do it together. We're going to do a liver cleanse. We all do it together. So we're just essentially stepping it up to a new level because after this one, we will know we're really on their side of the equation. Animals are going to be pretty much a thing of the past. It's going to, you know, I'd probably say we're at 20% and we're going to take that down to 5%. That's the purpose of this July cleanse, is to get the family to a 5% animal intake maximum.
Okay. So we're moving to plant-based diets.
Oh, yeah.
And do these kids go to a public school?
They will be. Yeah. In fact, I'll be going to their information thing on Thursday night. My wife just emailed me that moments ago. So this will be, they've been homeschooled up until now.
Okay. Yeah, you prepare them right, they'll be able to navigate through all the other food choices that their schoolmates eat, and no
Oh,
pressure.
they're already good to go. They know better already with their foods. But kids are kids. You put kids around junk food, it's going down.
Yeah.
So we just control our home. We consider the home the safe zone, and we let them know that you're always responsible for your path here on earth. We're your parents, we're your guides, but we can't control what you choose to put in your face hole. You're going to have to be disciplined enough to recognize the truth. So far it's been working for us because we've been doing this for a long time in terms of managing what they do put in their bodies and educating them on, the effects of it. And here's a great thing, Brother Sage. When you've got years of your kids never getting sick, you can use it as a reference point.
Yep.
To those children. I go, because we do this, you're not in emergency care. You're not in all of these clinics and like your friends who are sick, they get the cold and flu every 3 months or less. I said, when is the last time, when has that happened to you? And they go, it hasn't happened. So proof is in the pudding, and it works.
Yep. Plus, if they decide to buckle and eat what the kids at school are eating, they'll notice it right away.
Yes, they will.
They'll
Yes,
be
they
rushing
will.
home to the safe zone.
They come home and they're looking for activated charcoal and bentonite clay.
Yeah, they know what to hit. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. One thing that I mentioned, Waza, that is something you'll need to keep in mind, and that is why urine therapy works for some people and not for other people.
Okay.
I know it's a bold statement on my part, and where I'm going with this is, in order to get maximum benefit from doing urine therapy, you have to clean up your life and your lifestyle. So people have to look at what are their food choices? How well do they handle stress? Are they meditating? Um, what kind of cleansing and detox are they doing? What protocols are they using? I mean, there's a way to make it work, balancing the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of everyone's life. They do that, and then they can finally come up with a wellness program that works for them. And then the work after that is simply to maintain it.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. And I would probably venture to say that Ken and I are in the same place with our clients. To shine the light in those areas that need some correction.
Oh yeah, and here's a good thing. I have been leaking out that I've been getting my PhD in pee, and to some of my client base. So we're going to do a P challenge. I'm setting up some time on the calendar to do a P challenge introduction, if you will, with my existing clients here within about 45 days. So somewhere between 45 and 60 days. We're still working out the dates. But once that's locked in, I'm going to bring them all on in, and we're going to do at least a week together. We're going to educate every day, just like you're educating me right now, and support them through the opportunities at hand. And so we're going to open the door for those that do want to go oral. But the challenge is going to be, we're just going to start with our feet. To put this on your feet, we're going to start from the ground up, Brother Sage.
Are they going to be using the bucket or just putting it on their feet?
No. I want them in a bucket for sure.
Okay. Get rid of these, Waza.
Yeah, I saw in the last video the little shoes you had. Laughed because that's what you get those at any store in Japan.
That's where they come from.
They're for cleaning the bathroom.
For those little blue boots?
Yeah. So in Japan, every store's got a set of those. All hardware stores, right? So I laughed. I was like, that's what I'm going to use that for.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, do they have them big enough sizes for guys that are not Japanese?
I'm actually Japanese size, so I'm really, really fortunate. No, they don't have large sizes.
Okay.
No.
I know, because I ended up getting one from the company. They were willing to send me one as a gift so I can use it for promoting and doing funny videos and stuff. But they didn't ask me what my foot size was, so they sent me one that was like 1 or 2 sizes too small. But
yeah, well, they're not exactly form-fitting, right?
mm-hmm. All right. So any questions on what the importance is of bringing together the 4 pillars of health? The reason I constantly bring this up, not only because it's been my life work all these years, but people like to shortcut, people like to skip steps, people like to ignore things and deny things. And we want to, have everybody be honest with themselves and look at the other areas of their life. And when you're having a consultation with somebody, that's what we do. We probe, we dig, we look. We want to show them what they're doing that's giving them the kind of results they're having so they can make those corrections and have better results. So by all means, don't be timid about challenging them. They may take it personal, but they'll thank you for giving them their life in their hands in the long run.
That's my experience.
Yeah,
they'll come around. Some people might even be offended in the beginning, but they'll come around as long as they stick around.
Yep. We hit them up with what we call tough love.
Amen.
And they can take it. So we're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to the history of Shivambu. And I talked to Waza a little bit about this. Most people think that Shivambu started with these 2 historic figures, Shiva and Parvati, his buddy, his partner gal, the goddess. And in that story, you guys have you read that text called the Damar Tantra?
No, I haven't.
All right, let me type it in there so you can see it. Damartantra. I spelled it correctly. Damar Tantra. You could probably find it free PDF anywhere on the internet. And that is the story of how Parvati decides to out her husband. At least that's my spin on it. She says, Shiva, how come you're healthy? You don't get sick. You don't age. You're strong. You're a great looking guy. What is your secret? And he says, well, drink of yourself and you will live. And so he lays out this 7-year or 9-year program called the Damar Tantra that tells you what vessels to collect it in, gold, copper, brass, whatever they have back in those days, what herbs to mix it with, for what conditions. And it's all laid out so that at the end of the time period, which I believe is 9 years, you can achieve physical immortality. Now, there's a verse in there that people get hung up on in 2025. I know people get stuck on things, and I've been debunking a lot of the myths and the theories that people use in this water. There's a verse in which Shiva says that the water, you've heard the midstream theory?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, here's what had happened. There's a verse that says, if you look it up, you'll see it. One verse says, the water, your stream, is similar to or symbolic of a snake, and the head or the tail could hurt you. So people kind of oh, I do the midstream. I'm fine. I'm playing it safe. The very next verse reveals that it's based on tradition and superstition. So 5,000 years later, people are still struggling with that. You got to remind them that every drop is sterile. Every drop is precious.
Every drop.
Every drop. So
yeah, it says the follower of the therapy should only use his own urine. It's called Shimvabudara Darha. However, just as the mouth and the tail of the serpent contain poison, similarly, the first and the concluding flow of urine are not wholesome. That's the claim in verse 8. Yet, verse 9 says, Shimvabu is a divine nectar. So divinity is either divine or not divine. And it's either sterile or not sterile.
Right.
And it's sterile.
It is divine, and you'll notice even in the most sacred holy books, what we considered our spiritual books, you'll find human concepts in there. So you have to be really discerning which came directly from the Creator, from the divine, and which has a human interpretation stuck in there. So you have to read very closely about things.
Got to watch out for man. Got to watch out for him.
Tricky little devils.
Truth.
So when that comes up in the conversation, just let people know that every drop is precious, every drop is sterile, and you can drop the whole concept about the midstream. And there's probably some other theories going around. I may touch on them in the classes or not, but so prior to 5,000 years ago, there was the verbal form of history. We talked about this, Ken. There's two forms of history on our planet. There's what's written and there's what's verbally passed down from generation to generation. So that kind of helps me to understand why they've come up with the statistics that there are over 500 million people practicing urine therapy in 50 countries. And that statistic came from Doc Mike Whittort about 8 years ago. So the number of people has probably increased a lot. You say, well, how do you come up with this kind of number of people? Well, if you know Waza, there's a Chinese Urine Therapy Association that in 2006 was talking about having 7 million members of that organization. Germany announced they had 10 million members in a German Urine Therapy Association. So if you can find these places or these associations in various countries, you can see how this could easily add up.
Right.
And then you got all the people on social media that's been growing every day. So it's very exciting to know all this. Let's go back to the 1400s. But before we do that, let's review some of the names that people use for urine. One is Orin. You've heard that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did I explain where that word came from?
Orina.
Orina is a Spanish or Hispanic word for urine.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Orina. All right. Orin comes from Andrew Norton Webber. I highly recommend looking at his work. Back in 2010 to 2012, he was a loud voice for distilled water and urine.
Yeah. I have a ton of his videos. He was the guy that freed me from the lie. So I somehow tripped back over Andrew's stuff a few years ago, and it led me to distilled water. It reconfirmed the distilled within to restart that investigation. So it was yeah, I appreciate Andrew for those videos. And now there's some other people that have come after him to share the light in the same way, because it was buried. It's hard to find a lot of Andrew stuff now.
You can find it aquariuswaterbearer.com or aquariuswaterbearer.org. Was a site for years. Last we heard from him, he organized the urine therapy conference in San Diego in 2012. And then he disappeared. And the theories are everywhere. What happened? What did he, drop out? They were coming after him. We have no idea. But I have a feeling he's still around writing with an alias, a pen name.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people fake their death and he comes back and he's still here, but nobody knows.
For sure.
So the word urine, he said the word urine came from Rockefellers back in 1917 when they took over the healthcare industry and wanted to demonize all the alternatives, including urine therapy. So that's where they started the theory that urine is a waste product, it's disgusting, et cetera, et cetera. So the word urine, according to Andrew Norton Weber, is a much softer, more inviting word to say instead of urine. And he also pointed out that if you look up Aquaman on Wikipedia, this is a fun one, guys. You go down through the different paragraphs about Aquaman and discover his real name is Orin. Yes, the god of the ocean, not Neptune, but Aquaman, his real name is Orin.
How funny.
Fun stuff. In Nigeria, they call it Zitu or Itu. Did I get that right? In Botswana, Africa, a gal named Stampana, who's one of our water sisters, she calls it U-juice, which basically means it's your juice. Let's see. Dr. Rajak Malhotra in India decided to call it Loda Cola because he's so well known. He's been doing urine therapy for 55 years. And in America, I call it orange juice or OJ. So whatever you want to call it, people know what you're talking about. You can simply say it's ultra-filtered golden plasma water, and that'll make a lot of sense then, because that's been confirmed by the doctors. Even they say it's filtered plasma water, but somehow they angled it a little bit different, but we know what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 1400s, the Aztecs were using urine to heal their wounds. In the 1500s, Captain Magellan took a crew around the world, circumnavigated the globe, and he told all his crewmates that urine is preferred over seawater. So he instructed his mates to all do their urine. In 1536, the Egyptian medical texts had over 50 formulas and remedies, and many of them included urine. In the 1611 Bible came out known as King James Version. And in that Bible, there was quite a variety of verses that hint at urine. For those in the water family who can see this, was it John? Where is it? Proverbs 5:15, drink water from thy own cistern, and out of you will flow living waters. John 7:38, he that believeth me will have a fountain of, I'm paraphrasing here, but I have every Bible verse connected to urine therapy on an email. It's being saved if you ever want that list. You can use it for educating and waking up people, not just the Christians, but everybody that you want to share that with. So
I'd love to have that list.
Okay, Waza, do you want it too?
Sure, why not?
Okay. I use a lot of Bible verses with fasting too.
Okay. About Bible verses about UT, email, Waza, and Ken. Before I forget, I put out 2 challenges to the urine therapy community a few years back. One is for people to fast, do a Shivambu fast for a day to 3 days, and it's time to bring that back to the community. And the other thing I challenged people to was the Shivambu bucket challenge. Remember the water bucket challenge back about 20 years ago? People would take a bucket of ice and flip it over their head. Well, we're going to ask people to take a bucket of urine, flip it over their head, film it, and let's see what kind of responses they get.
Interesting. Okay.
They can be out in the backyard wearing a swimsuit or nothing, whatever they want, and just do that.
I have a kiddie pool, so I do it in my kiddie pool so I can keep my urine.
There you go. Waste it. We're not going to waste it. All right, we're going back to 1695. There was a book from England called Salmon's Physician Book, and there was a lot of references to urine therapy. You might have, in your research, seen pictures of Rome back in the early Roman days. They would not only collect people's urine out in a public, there was like a wall and a collection area. It was like a giant urinal, and they would all be peeing out in the public. Well, they not only saved and collected their urine, they taxed them on it.
Jeez.
That's Caesar for you.
Thought that was America.
That was George Bush. In 1806, Lewis and Clark, we're talking about seeing Native Americans bathing in their urine as they crossed across the United States. In 1890, there was a book known as The 1,000 Notable Things called Urine, Universal and an Excellent Remedy for a Multitude of Health Challenges. In 1920 something, well, I think it was 1925 or something like that, John W. Armstrong first published his book, The Water of Life, but it really didn't take on until 1944. And then later it got republished in 1970. So what you're seeing flying around on Amazon and other places is the latest edition, which was 1970. And I don't know how long he lived, but he was having people fast for 100 days and heal blindness.
That's interesting.
Right. He did some incredible things. He was a naturopath. He wasn't a doctor, but he had thousands of people who were cured. And his book still stands as a classic. So I highly recommend anybody to get either PDF or get the book so you can see what he was writing about, as well as the Medicine is Your Perfect, Urine is Your Perfect Medicine, this book. This is still a classic. This is one of the first books that put out science, evidence, the kind of thing people are always asking for. How do we know it works? How can we trust it? Because it works. It's one of those things where your body is your evidence. But people trained in modern medicine in the Western world, they have a hard time accepting that you can have your own personal experience and that's all the evidence you need. 1930s, there was a book written out in France about the adrenal glands and sex hormones present in urine. We have discovered, if I didn't mention this before, I think I've told you, Ken, they found gold molecules in human urine.
Ormus gold.
Ormus gold. It's already been detected. I would love to see a close-up microscope picture of it. They're finding all kinds of things, substrates, substances, ingredients, call them whatever you want, compounds. There's one website, if I haven't sent it to you, I will. Came out of Canada, University in Canada. They've identified 5,662 ingredients. They call them metabolites or metabolites. And they don't even mention what hasn't been discovered yet. I mean, it's a vast unknown. So we're constantly getting new information. 1963, the Manav Mudra shows up out of India, and that became a classic as well. It's called the Manav Mudra. If you ever want to look it up, I'll just throw it in there anyway. M-A-N-A-V, what is it? Mudra? O-O-T-R-A. No, misspelled it. M-A-N-A-V. Manav Mudra. Well, the next important dates that happened in urine, 1971, NASA, whether you think they're the good guys or not, they put out a list that revealed that they've identified 3,000 compounds in human urine. So it's hard to say what side NASA was on, but that's been revealed and anybody can find that on the internet. And the last, the last two important dates in our history was the 1994, and all these urine therapy books started showing up on the scene. Martha Christie's Your Body's Perfect Medicine, Beatrice Barnett, urine therapy, Martin Laura, urotherapy. This book came out in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Healing Water from Within, 1994. Where's my copy? Well, you know what I'm talking about. Healing Water from Within. Excuse me. Yeah, there it is, right there. The Complete Book on Urine Therapy by Cohen Vanderkroon.
The Golden Fountain. Mm.
Golden Fountain. That was the original cover, and this is the most current cover. This came out in 1994. So there was a span of time, there weren't any books until 2017. I get the download for the Healing Water from Within. But in my own style, it was time to, you know, make fun and lighten up and make it more human friendly without being technical. So I brought in the emotional, psychological element of what it takes to bridge the gap, to change your belief systems, to start having a different perspective of what this water is. And so the Healing Water book came out, and then then Harry comes out with his book on aged urine, I'd say about 2 years after mine, and more authors were showing up on the scene. David Phillips came out with this book, which is all about the 1 meal a day and urine fasting. Let's see if he's got a date on this puppy here. He doesn't have it. What kind of, okay. It's one of those homemade books. It doesn't even have the page numbers on it. Anyway, so more and more books start coming out. Then social media explodes. And when social media, when I discovered in 2018 that there was like 24 urine therapy social media platforms just on Facebook, and then all the other ones start showing up on WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, blah, blah, blah. Now it's the thing to be part of. I mean, if ever there was a movement that could save humanity and make a big difference, this is it. And this is why some of us can't seem to stop talking about it.
Because it can help. It's self-care. This is self-care right here. Don't get no more self-care than this.
It's exactly. It's an answer to a lot of prayers, and I'm so glad you guys are going to start. If you move into the teacher mode, Waza, you're going to have more and more people that are looking for you and wanting to get some help and some guidance. I've got 3 people on standby that want consultations right now. We're trying to organize it. So your work has just begun. Roll up your sleeves.
I just feel like the West is going to be really overwhelmed with this in the next 3 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're poised right now.
Yeah.
We have enough information flow. We have enough higher, I would say, recognizable practitioners in the states that have come out and did the ominous dominus. And it's creating interest for sure.
Yeah.
And that's all we need. We just need some interest. And I just feel like the water will take care of everything else through its people. Yeah.
It's definitely doing that because of all these influencers that are putting their name and reputation out on the line. People are reaching out. How do you do it? What do you do with it? What education can I get? What I do? Can I introduce? How do I introduce it to my mom and my sister and my husband? Blah blah blah. And this is the things that I love teaching people: how to baby step people, get them started. Cross the perception barrier between it's negative to this is the best thing I ever found.
And it's a beautiful thing to see the lights turn on when they cross over from the negative and they get it. It's like they start getting it and you're like, yeah, man, this is us. And it's always been here. Imagine how many times you took NyQuil and didn't need it.
Yeah. Or anything.
Yeah.
Now, some of the people that really turned me on is the ones who took a couple of classes from me or from somewhere, and their lights are flipped on, their high beams are on, and they're riding and they're going public. This gal Sharon out there in Australia, they decided they want to be be part of the march. They want to be in the front lines with us.
That's awesome. That's so good.
So, and they got the call. Nobody had to convince them. All right. Any questions so far? Doing good, guys?
Doing good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Can you explain, and I'm sure you guys may probably figure this out by now, what affects the color, the smell, and the taste of the water?
The environment we're in,
Yep.
what we're ingesting,
Mm-hmm.
our stress levels, or how we're responding to the world.
Gotcha. So what's so neat is that your urine the day after will reveal a whole lot if you know what you're looking for. Some people go by taste. They can taste too much salt or bitterness or medicinal flavor or metallic flavor. Some people pull out the pH strips.
Got to test mine in there.
Waza, do you have pH strips?
Probably around here somewhere, actually. Yeah, but not those particular ones. But
Okay, the ones that I use and recommend go up to 14 pH.
okay, yeah, I saw that in the other video. Yeah.
Yeah, that way you can get a much more accurate measurement than peeking out just at 8, because mine averages about 9 to 10 most days. Let's check. Let's check right now. I like to see if I'm telling the truth. In front of the students, you better get it right, bro. All right. All right, this is from about an hour ago. And that's just on the edge of the green shade. So that's about between 7 and 8.
There we go. That's a good one.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
So I challenge you to test yours in front of your students sometime. And they go, well, what's yours like, Ken?
Oh, well, you know what happened was I have a local client that I visit because he's older and he's really it's really about building his confidence because he's recovering from a brain tumor. And I went over there and we were checking his blood, making sure that I said, let's make sure that blood sugar meter's working correctly. He was like, well, let's test on you because I want to see if my doc has good blood sugar like me, or that he wants me to get, right? And so I'm cool with that. I let him test me. I said, well, 80, not so bad. Doc is doing good. That's the goal. I said, where are you at? You're at 109. So you've got a ways to go to catch me.
Yep,
Lead by example.
exactly.
100%.
Because people are looking at us under a magnifying glass. They're looking for flaws. They're looking for some.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's interesting is not many of them look for flaws in their allopathic doctors, but it was cool because
Yeah.
I had an old client call me yesterday. She wants to just get a checkup because she was trying to work with her insurance to just get a checkup and see where she's at because she got diagnosed with cancer a couple years ago. We overcame it. We did all the things. But she just wants to stay on track. And I said, you got a little programmed with the allopathic experience. I said, just abandon it. You don't need them at all. Just abandon it. Right? So she was like, yeah, because I went in and started talking with him and I realized very quickly it was an energy thing. And that the lady she was talking to was like, oh no, you don't need to be in the sun. You need to get out of the sun and blah, 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 blah. And she said, please don't touch me because it's very clear that you have no idea what's really going on. And so she started pulling away from her energy. She says, I didn't want that energy. I could feel that evil coming out of that place, and it's coming through this lady. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. You have to see it for what it is. You see it. Now you have to be confident to know it's just not for you. There's nothing there. And I said, what have all you been doing? She goes, I've been doing this and this. And she told me all the things I taught her. I said, that means you are fine. You are better than fine. You're vibrant. You're healthy. You're happy. Everything's in your favor. Leave them alone. I'll do a couple labs for you. We'll do your check-in. Make sure you're on the right course. We'll do any adjustments we need to make and everything will be fine. I said, you don't need them anymore. You don't need a primary care physician. You are your own primary care physician.
Yep. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it's our job to help to empower people. We're so at the mercy of these systems that we forget we have a system that's self-contained.
Yeah, and the more that we keep telling people to get out of there, the better off the future generation is going to be. Get the hell out of these hospitals and these doctors' hands. They're just going to dope you and take your organs.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want to do. They want to dope you and steal things from you
Mm-hmm. And
that
keep
you
you
need, that you require.
mm-hmm. And as long as they can keep you locked in or anchored into their system, they've got a constant money, a cash cow out of you.
Yeah, it never stops flowing. Never stops flowing. And it's just wild. Um, the level of things that she told me just yesterday. She goes, yeah, how about they were recommending her to take more medication and they had no test back yet. They had no labs back yet. And they were like, yeah, you should probably go on this chemo and radiation drug just to be sure. And she was like, sure of what? Sure of what? Absolutely crazy. It's crazy what's going on in these facilities. People don't think this stuff really happens, but I hear these stories literally every day. People
Mm-hmm.
being medicated who have not been labbed out.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting diagnosed through eyesight. Some are getting diagnosed on the phone,
Yep. Never been seen.
never been seen. They're just being diagnosed over phone, and then others are simply being given medication because they hit a certain level of age.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy over here, Warwick. It's crazy. You
no,
know, the
I'm in
biggest thing,
I'm
the
in
biggest,
Japan, but they told me they were going to fuse my spine without taking an X-ray, without any scans.
wow.
And I was in a wheelchair at the time. I'm like, like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. I'm out of here. And I actually went around to the energy healing guy further around the mountain, and I couldn't speak to him, couldn't do anything. He had me up and walking in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's it.
Like, we're going to fuse your spine. And I'm like, you've taken no test. And you're telling me that you're not qualified to treat me. I'm sorry, I got to go.
Yeah. Go find another sucker. I'm out of here.
It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. It's pretty crazy, and they'll do it with a straight face, and
Oh,
they'll judge you so hard
so hard.
if you deny them.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to guilt trip her so bad, and that's their best angle. They want to scare you, and they want to guilt you, they want to shame you, and that's just desperation to make a sale.
And that's Japan in a whole, like
Man.
all the old people, you see them all lined up in the hospitals. It's a shame.
Warwick, it's crazy because we get these images of Japan and the United States and the wellness community, because there's devices and technology that comes out of Japan that hits the wellness industry all the time, right? So everybody just assumes, oh, Japanese must be the healthiest people on the planet. And I go, hell no, they're not.
Hell no, they're not.
No, they're not. It's not possible. Everybody
Hey,
is pretty much screwed up on the planet at this point. We're all kind of toast.
unless you take that option out. And,
True.
like, how many
Yeah,
mums are telling their kids, like, oh, don't touch your genitals, don't do this, don't do that, let alone,
yeah, I mean, I'm over here, I remember when my kids asked me, Dad, why are you saving all your pee under the sink? That's so gross.
right?
And I
Where
said,
else would I say?
gross? Where did you learn that? And they
Well,
couldn't tell me where they learned it. They go, I don't know. I said, I've never said pee was gross. I said, pee is sterile. It's 100% sterile. We can like clean ourselves with it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, don't be ashamed of yourself. I said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not ashamed
right.
of myself. I'm in that bottle. I have part of me in that bottle, and it's for me, and it's all good for me. And We have to get back to the teachings of the youth. ASAP. This is how we win. The powers that be are going after the children.
Every day.
Most of us are
Right.
already screwed. If you're a boomer or a Gen Xer or even a millennial, if you haven't woken all the way up, you're going to have a short term on a life here on planet Earth. More than likely, you're not going to live long, lustrous, healthy life here in the United States. It's not really possible. You really have to wake all the way up because we have so many chemical threats, you know, and frequency threats and biological threats coming at us 24 hours a day. You know, the war is real over here. You know, I can only talk for where I live. You know, I'm sure you can talk for where you live, work. You know, I just try not to oppress upon anything where I don't live or understand the
Yeah.
battlefield. But the battlefield here in the United States is ugly. There's lots of landmines, and everybody's in on it.
Well, Japan's much the same. They do have, well, hey, we got Fukushima, right? And you know, I've worked in that area, and you know, like they're still farming in that area.
Oh my God.
You know, like vegetables. You know, like, but then again, you look at that area, and that area includes Tokyo. You know, like we looked at it and looked at where the air was traveling, and it was like, whoa. So it covered a lot of distance, and you
Man,
know now you,
a lot of people glowing in the dark and don't know it.
oh, you're dying already. You know, like
It's affected Hawaii as well. We've got microplastics, plastics galore that come up on the beach every day. And there's constantly people picking up stuff, cleaning off the beaches. As a matter of fact, I learned when I first got here that there's a floating garbage island in the middle of the ocean that picks apart and sends things to wherever the Pacific Rim is.
That's
well,
crazy.
if in Japan, like if you look how much rubbish is produced by going to the convenience store, like everything is triple wrapped in plastic. It's crazy. And then you go to the beach, and all the beaches are just
A mess.
not very pretty, you know. And this is the world that, as we say, you know, like this is the world we're living in, and you know.
So I want to take you back to where one of the reasons we got messed up about our urine, and Ken, you kind of hinted at it. One of the things that got us all screwed up about it, loving our body and appreciating all our organs, is potty training. Because they were telling you, you got to not only you got to hit the spot, you got to wipe your hands, you got to flush the toilet and all this. And so people thought, oh, wow, if my pee is dirty, then my penis is dirty, my vagina is dirty. And so guess what that did? It messed us up when it came to our sexuality, because we already had religious guilt and then potty training guilt. And people have a hard time being really present when they're lovemaking because you've got all this unconscious programming to play with.
This is ridiculous. Potty training is the key to creating fear of thyself. At a very young age, these are such deep, impressionable things. This is where my kids said, they don't know why they fear their urine.
Yeah.
Where did you hear that was gross? I don't even know. That's why it was programmed from the moment that we started potty training them through action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were unaware as parents that it had an impact on them that would be that deep.
That first 6 years.
But it's got to be real. I mean, I had the same problem. I didn't just jump into urine therapy and go, "Woo, let me do this." It was, man, I read this. This is making like some sense, but I don't know. You know, you've never met anybody to do this. You know, you've never really seen someone do it in front of you in your entire life. It's kind of like how women excuse themselves from breastfeeding because they didn't see their mothers breastfeed. They weren't breastfed. There was no one else in the family that they saw in their community who was breastfeeding. So we lose all these women, all these babies in the United States. They miss out on breastfeeding because the women have no connection to the culture. of being all in mom. They're disconnected from that part. And they give up even trying because they don't have enough lineage to connect to go, this is how it's supposed to be, and you're designed to do this. The baby's designed to do this. This is the absolute best way, and you must exhaust all options and never quit trying until the baby latches appropriately. But most of our women in this country want a cosmetic delivery and to just have no pain, take the baby out, not non-vaginal birth, C-sections, and we're losing all this connection, you know, energetically and spiritually for the child and the mom and the dad. We're just doing everything wrong in the delivery room.
And the
Everything
micro.
you could do wrong, we're doing it wrong. Just
Yeah, and
very
then
poor. And we don't
also,
have any greater mortality rate in the hospitals than we do at home. Home is probably doing better births than at the hospital.
yeah, and hospitals are having less and less visitors.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to hospital during COVID, and there was hardly anybody in there except for the real serious cases. And you know, I came with a friend who came in there with a lung condition. I might have told you this one. Dr. Vijay Gupta, who was one of my dear friends and mentors in urine therapy from South India. He'd been doing urine therapy since 1983. Well, ends up in 2020, he ends up having a lung challenge. They take him in, and guess what they did? They get him remdesivir, right? We're bringing in our urine. We're trying to triage and feed him, massage him, and bring him back to life. He got out for a day. He went back in. They were giving him remdesivir. In 3 days, he was dead.
Oh my God.
And we found out they weaponized all these vaccines. So thank God we know the subject. We have an opportunity of a lifetime to bring this out to the world, to those that we know and love. And one of the things you're going to learn in the class is to overcome objections, talk to doubters, naysayers, and people who say you're crazy.
I'm with it. I'm already there. When when I remember one time in a fasting group when I had just finished my longest dry fast, man, I was called everything. I was called everything in the dry fasting group.
Yeah.
Egos are big and people fear themselves so greatly.
Yeah, well, we're very attached to the food slavery. So
That's
when you
right.
start talking about fasting and urine fasting and dry fasting and breatharianism, even fruitarianism, oh, people are trigger left and right. Oh, I can't give up their favorite food. They can't give up their meat and their dairy, and they can't give up the blah, blah. You're going, that's because you keep convincing yourself you can't.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a condition. And it's your own conditioning. You can let it go if you really want to. You have to see the benefit, which takes time. You got to go one step at a time. You know, we still just live in a place, and I wonder, someone reached out to me just yesterday on Messenger about someone who I work with her father, and she wants to refer another friend to me. She goes, she's done everything. And I go, no one's done everything. I hear that every day. She goes, well, she's done urine therapy. She's done this. I said, has she done saturation urine therapy?
Has you stayed with it for at least a year?
How long did she do it? Has she done age urine therapy?
Did you keep it
You
up
know,
every
it's
day?
like there's lots of questions to ask. You got to be honest. No one does it all. I haven't done it all. Okay. We have to be truthful and be willing to be open because she was like, well, you see her. I said, only if she's open to recognize she hasn't done it all. Because if she'd done it all and done it appropriately, she'd be well.
And wouldn't have this conversation.
And that's the end of the and that's it. She would be well. So if she's not well, she's yet to do it all. And it's just that simple.
Right. Or they were one of those been there, done it kind of people.
Well, there's, like I said, it's like you could do it, but you could do it for a day.
Yeah.
You
could
could do it, but you could also do it in contradiction with something else. Context matters.
Yeah.
It's the biggest part of the healing game. Context. Just because you told me I fasted, I did this, I took that supplement, I ate this food, I don't care. I want the whole story.
Yep.
The whole story is what matters. It's not these pieces. It's not these check marks. It's
Right.
having the consult. It's sitting down, like you said earlier, Brother Sage, and being willing to be a true holistic healer and get all the data out. And it doesn't all happen in one sitting. It keeps trickling out once you really open the floodgates, because most of them have never had a real chance to release all of their journey and their worries and all the things that they've done and the traumas that they've been through. No one's helped them map out their timelines of why things may have not worked because you were going through X, Y, and Z at that time. Oh, you had babies 2 years in a row? Oh, yeah, absolutely. You should have these kind of issues because you didn't recover X, Y, and Z nutrient profile, so on and so forth. There's all types of intricacies, but the world has taught people to think about their health in a in Cliff Note fashion. And this is the problem. We're not Cliff Notes. We're a big old big book. We're a huge book. Each of us are huge books, man. And they're beautiful works of writing that are worth going through every line. Take our time and go through every line to really learn the story. Because if we don't learn the story, we can't get to glory. And glory is healing. So we go from story to glory. But if we can't get the full story, not many people really make it to glory. You have to know how you got messed up to get out of it.
And do the appropriate steps to get out of it and stay in the practice and not fall short of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you get that question from time to time. I had one today from a client. She didn't know how to get it all the way out. So I helped her and I said, "You're trying to ask me, what do you do after you're healed?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm trying to ask." I go, "You maintain your healing."
Yep.
And she goes, "Well, how do I do that?" I said, "We'll know when we get there."
You're lovely, your life.
Yeah,
Go
we'll
and
know
have
when we
fun.
get there because you're going to make it. It's not going to be many questions when you make it. She goes, "Really?" I go, "You won't have many questions because you will have adopted a lifestyle by then.
Yeah.
So you really won't have a lot of questions. You'll just want confirmation that, am I on the right path? And I'm going to tell you more than likely you're absolutely on the right path because you're healed. So if you're healed, you don't have to stay in healing journey mode. You can start living now. And living means using what works for you.
Yeah.
To keep your life abundantly thriving. And so it was cool to have that conversation today because the more that I drink the aged, like, this is new for me, right? Drinking straight aged urine, and man, it moves me. It moves me and it's given me a new vibration internally. And so I don't want to miss a day without getting at least one one pint into the body. It matters. It does matter. And I can feel my body still cleansing every day when I take it. When I take it, it's I already have to go to the bathroom from drinking it earlier. When we started the show, when we started the class.
Good. Then you have plenty of supply. You were doing great. Chapter 5, if you have your book, what chapter 5 does is it addresses people's curiosity or need for proof, evidence, research, science. We got more than enough either coming out of Martha Christie's book. We got science and evidence coming out of Canada. We're doing right now doing a research project with Jonathan Otto, Dr. Group, and Megan McDonald. This group started about a year ago. Megan's doing all the legwork to determine stem cells in aged urine and the viability of aged urine for human health. So they put together a group that's working on it as we speak. So there's lots of science, there's lots of evidence. It's floating around the internet. If you need to help find some of those, just let me know. We can, I'll be glad to send some your way. And this is just to give people peace of mind and reassurance that what you're doing is the right thing and you're not crazy.
Yeah, the group that I'm involved with. They are all into stem cells and everything like that. And, you know, that's what, when I saw stem cells in aged urine, I was like, oh, free stem cells.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll have some of those.
Well, when people ask for certain words and slogans that we use all the time, this is why I'm trying to unravel and shine light on these terminologies. When people say, oh, there's stem cells in your urine, there's trillions of stem cells in the urine, the question is, what is a stem cell? What is its part in your regeneration and your healing? A stem cell is what's known as a non-differentiated cell, which means it hasn't been given a job assignment yet.
Yeah.
So the body, with its intelligence, knows we need a new eye cell or a liver cell, elbow, whatever it is, and it goes into production mode, gives you the right combination of nutrients and stem cells, and that's what it becomes, among other things.
Yep.
Now, what you missed, I told a story about my friend who was a student of mine. I was sharing a house with him, and he was proud that he was drinking 4 ounces a day. I said, well, those are baby steps. You barely got started. Well, he was a master gardener, and his knees were blowing out. And him and his wife are almost convinced they should go to Mexico and spend 10 grand to get stem cell injections. I said, why don't you just soak your kneecaps in a washcloth soaked in urine and do compresses several times a day? He did that. 4 days later, the pain was gone.
Testing that starting today. I've been snowboarding my whole life, and
where does it hurt?
Well, I can't. I actually used it in a conversation. I was like, can't snowboard anymore. Can't jump off things. Knees are like, nah, that's not going to happen. But all right, I found another possible way of healing it. So it's all right. And I've got some aged, sort of sitting around. So it's like, yep.
Okay, well, I would like to.
How long do you leave the compress on?
You leave it on as long as it feels right or doesn't dry out. I would give it 45 minutes to an hour if you have the leisure to do that. You're laying down for a while. Then you want to reapply it several times during the day.
Okay.
And what I'd like to see you do, and I've challenged quite a few people in this worldwide community, is to give us a before and after picture.
Yeah.
Show us you snowboarding again.
So I think I mentioned this to you, Brother Sage, was I have a few patches that expressed on my skin that are a little itchy.
Yep.
And I think they're potentially some kind of ringworm, or I was doing parasitic cleansing at the time that maybe they just released a bunch of toxins in die-off mode, and my body pushed them to the surface. Mm-hmm. So starting tomorrow morning, I'll try compressing on a few of the sites, but I'll do a before and after pic for that.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, we've had people do before and after their feet, before and after their burns, before and after all kinds of stuff. And it's great to have those archived in case it comes up in any other conversation with the people. You can say, oh, you're dealing with this condition. Here's what so-and-so did, and this were his results.
Yeah.
So we want to bring as much to the table for people so they can get motivated and inspired and hopeful.
I agree 100%.
So if anybody's looking for evidence, everybody's looking for science, anybody's looking for kind of validation, we have that. And that's not going to be for that many people. And at some point, your confidence and your certainty is going to be at an all-time high, and you won't even need that for them to get your seriousness and your sincerity. Because that's the transference that we're making with people. The trouble with doctors is it's all an intellectual process. You probably found out by now that people don't care so much about what you know. They care that you care. They're more willing to listen to someone who is loving them and being compassionate than someone who's trying to jam ideas down their throat. And one thing about urine therapy is it's not hard sell.
definitely not a hard sell.
You can't use out your salesman skills to convince someone to drink their pee. They have to feel it. They got to get there. So any questions, Waza, any comments so far?
All good.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what we typically do in our classes, let me get to chapter 7 here. Let the truck go by down the alleyway. We typically take a 10-minute break midway through. So if you guys want to go do what you want to do, we can do that in another 15, 20 minutes and then reconvene.
I'm good to continue, but I can take a break. It's up to you guys.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I'm fine.
for now, we're going to go into chapter 7. This is some of the main part of this course is to learn the protocols. And one thing I mentioned was I didn't touch on in this class, but the first class, one of the key components that makes this work more than all the information is someone's faith.
100%.
Someone's willingness to trust you, to trust the water, to trust their body, to trust the process. They're already halfway through. So with that, armed with faith, people can accomplish anything, even the things that they thought was impossible. So as your water warriors, you know what to do. Let me just quickly read some of the ingredients. On page 15 is chapter 4, entitled it's basically what's the secret sauce? Why is this such a perfect elixir? If you read the Golden Fountain, he lists thousands of nutrients. Some of them are just too difficult to read because they're
Long words.
They're long words. They got letters, they got symbols, they got all kinds of stuff. So what I put in the books is the shorter version of the ingredients that everybody goes to the health food store for. And these are ones most people are familiar with. So I'm going to read this kind of fast, and you probably recognize all of these, if not most of them. Adrenaline, alanine, albumin, allotonin. You know where allotonin is found? Allotonin is found in aloe vera and in comfrey.
Yeah.
That's why it's great for compresses.
Very much so. All right, we got antibodies, amino acids, arginine, ascorbic acid, bicarbonate, biotin, calcium, carbohydrates, choline, chloride, cortisone, creatinine, cysteine, DHEA, dopamine, enzymes, and epinephrine. Oh, epinephrine. Oh, that reminds me. Andrew, you know what EpiPens are? When people jab themselves because they need a boost of adrenaline to overcome a shock or a allergic reaction. Somebody had told me, and I'll have to go and double check this, that when it's shot into the body, it converts to adrenochrome. And that might be difficult to hear, but I read that somewhere, and I'd like to go and confirm that.
Can you say that again, brother Sage?
Yeah, somewhere I read that EpiPens have the tendency to have a conversion into adrenochrome.
I did not know that.
And if that was the case, that would explain why people get addicted to EpiPens.
Heck yeah, it does.
Yeah. What's the other thing people are addicted to? Opazone. What is that other thing people are using or shooting themselves up with?
Ozempic?
Ozempic. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds dangerous as well. But anyway, let me keep reading the list here. Estrogen, folic acid, glucose, glutamic acid, glycine, hormones, inositol, inulin, iodine, iron, leucine, lysine, magnesium, manganese, melatonin, methionine, nitrogen, ornithine, oxytocin, pantothenic acid, phenylalanine, phosphorus, potassium, progesterone, proteins, riboflavin, selenium, serotonin, stem cells, sulfur, testosterone, thiamine, tryptophan, tyrosine, urea, vasopressin, vitamins A, B6, vitamin A, B6, B12, C, D, E, K, and zinc. So when you drink your urine, you're drinking a health food store.
Hey, brother, do you remember the old commercial for Pregu?
Pregu sauce?
It's in there. Do you
It's
remember
in
that?
there. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, man. It's in there.
It's in there. You need to say it with an Italian mafia Italian accent. Yeah. It's in there. You want to get better? It's in the water.
It's in the water.
Throw that accent in there. It's beautiful. All right. We are on page 44 for those that have the manual. UT protocols, introducing saturation dosing, SIP looping, and new protocols that were discovered between 2019 and 2020. The newest version of the book came out in 2022. So there may be some new ones in there, but we'll find out as we get through the material. Warning, it's generally not recommended to combine urine therapy with the use of prescribed chemicals, allopathic medicines, recreational drugs. The combination may be dangerous to your health. Why take the risk? So you're going to get people ask you, well, if I'm on prescription drugs, if I'm doing recreational drugs, if they're honest about it, can I still do urine therapy? The answer is yes. We don't want to confuse the body, so I tell people to create a window, like 45 minutes to an hour on either side of taking those prescription drugs, or don't do oral and do topical. And what's going to happen over a period of time is the body's going to get, the brain chemistry is going to correct itself. And the desire for those things is going to fall away. People start getting healthier and they'll realize they don't need it anymore. And they'll either trash it or just tell the doctor that's the end of that.
Yeah, I work with a lot of people who are on tons of medications when they show up here. And I'm always impressed by just how fast the clients are able to come off of medication when they have confidence.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a confidence game because they were put under a spell to take these pharmacia drugs. And so they have to break the spell. You know, every now and then I'll get a client that I will find out a month or two later. So meanwhile, we're having sessions every week to 2 weeks, and they'll go, I'm off all my drugs. And I'll be like, wait a minute, you're on some pretty heavy stuff. We're really supposed to walk off of those.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to trust your people. They're their first doctor.
Oh, yeah.
And oftentimes people can really come off of things a lot more rapidly than doctors may be aware of. But I think it has a lot to do with faith and belief and having confidence and that they're going to be okay and that they're doing the other proper things to support themselves through it. Now, personally, I prefer to manage that, better. But every now and then I have some wild gun clients that just go, I'm done. They just get pissed off. They start to see the light and they just let it go.
Yeah, well, they don't trust the medical world anyway. And so to be able to take their power back and say no. Now, my wife, when we first started dating and right before we got married, she was a smoker, which is like a red flag for me as a raw foodist, right? She was a smoker. But we knew each other through A Course in Miracles and through the rebirthing community and through spiritual and Unity Church, blah, blah, blah. And I was really falling in love with her. And so she decides to go cold turkey. Well, during the time she wasn't smoking, she would astrally project herself to go smoke a cigarette. Right? She still had the pattern of lighting up. And then after about 3 or 4 days, it was done.
Wow.
And so the motivation was, I want the relationship more than I want the cigarettes. So people have to get a reward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They would do it for them. So that's what worked for her.
That's awesome. I love it.
Or else we wouldn't have been married 22 years. So this is the thing to note when people are asking that question. What about drugs and what about this and that and the other thing? Of course, I would say the same thing for meat eaters. If you're going to eat meat and dairy, wait 2 hours.
That makes sense to me.
That makes sense. But yeah.
It's part, I think, for me, it's not about pushing. It's about welcoming the opportunity for people, right?
Yeah.
Giving them the opportunity. Have you thought about it? Yeah, I thought about it. Okay, this is a great opportunity to test everything, to let it all go and see if it's worth bringing it back when you feel amazing, you look amazing, you move amazing, and that's not part of the equation anymore.
Yeah.
Then do you have to bring back in the animal? And the fact is, we don't have to. You know, that's the fact. It is always a very conscious choice.
Yep. And it always will be. Waza, do you have your copy of the book?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Can you read from page 45 where it says, well, your version is different than the version I'm using here, but it's the second page of chapter 7 where it starts with UroTherapy protocols, that picture of the golden chalice.
Picture of the golden chalice on 45.
Well, my book, it's 45. It might be 47 or 40 different page on your book, but there's a picture of, it's black and white.
Is this a picture of somebody with their feet in the pee?
No. Chapter 7.
I'm there. I'm there.
All right, the picture of the golden chalice, which I borrowed from Monty Python.
Yeah.
Did you find it, Waza?
No.
Did you get to chapter 7? Ken, what page is chapter 7 in your copy?
There we go.
My book doesn't have page
65.
numbers.
UroTherapy protocols.
Bingo.
Shibaba is a free, all-purpose self-care medicine.
Thank you. Keep reading.
Make urine your default answer to any and all health concerns or conditions. Remind yourself that you carry Shimbabu in a secret container, your bladder, in a body that speaks the language that just the two of you understand.
Just to be really clear, excuse me, just to be really clear on how to pronounce Shivambu.
Shivambu.
The word means either water, ambu, A-M-B-H-U, which is the traditional Sanskrit spelling. I know a lot of people in the community leave the H out, but ambu means water, and Shiva, the water of Shiva. It also means the blood or plasma of the Lord. Shivambu.
Shivambu.
You nailed it. Who said that? Shivambu. Okay. Waza, please keep reading.
Returning the healing water from your source back to your source will ensure a long, healthy, and joyous life. Indeed. Build a lifestyle that will keep you young, healthy for the entire of your life by practicing your UT protocols every day. That's the end of that.
All right. So we're going to go into the first protocol, which pretty much everybody begins their journey with and knows is oral consumption. We're on page, well, I don't know what page is it on your copy there, Waza? Because in mine,
65.
65, yeah, there's a difference in how that was laid out. Oral application not only addresses all diseases, it makes a perfect rejuvenating tonic. As a baby step, and this is how I teach baby steps. You got people going, well, I don't know if I'll drink it. Maybe I'll rub some on my skin. Maybe I'll put my feet in it. Well, here's the baby steps. And once you get this one, you can help pretty much anybody. Have them collect their urine and put a finger in the urine. See, we're building a new perception, a new bridge, a new positive association.
Touch it. Connect to it.
Call it a neural pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Have them dip their finger in the urine, lift their finger, and say to them, notice you didn't get sick or die. Which if they don't laugh, they'll go, wow, maybe he's onto something. Second one, put your finger in the urine, lift your finger out of the urine and lick it off your finger. Notice you didn't get sick or die. So we're building a new pathway. From there, you get the dropper bottle and have them start doing droppers until they can get to a full dropper bottle full for dropper full. Once you get them up to an ounce, they figured it out. Maybe they would have figured it out just from that part. So this is one form of baby stepping. Now, when people say, well, I'll put it on my skin, I'll soak my feet in it, but I won't drink it. And you smile and go, they just did. They just didn't use their mouth. They didn't know that.
Right.
I mean, before it became urine, what was it? It was running through your veins. It was plasma. It was blood. So how could that be a sterile environment? And then it's outside of your body. It's not a sterile product.
Hey, Brother Sage, I recently ran across something, I think a week ago, about how urine therapy is akin to vampirism because we're just drinking blood.
True. Yeah. But they're not, what word I'm looking for? They're not determining what part of the blood.
No.
They're putting it all under blood. And sure, vampires might have gone for the blood, but we're going for the plasma part of the blood.
Mm-hmm.
So we might.
Yeah, I've never seen any vampire movies where they were going for the urine.
No. Maybe it's about time. It may be time that somebody produces such a vampire movie.
I think there are vampire movies like that here in Japan.
That's pretty funny.
Hilarious. So I want to read a little bit more here. The more you drink, the better you feel. Beginners who start by taking little sips of urine throughout the day, and we're going to get into sip looping here in just a little bit, throughout the day, will soon be comfortable drinking more of the water. They're often amazed how quickly they feel their energy and clarity of mind return. The defining moment happens when one realizes that Shivambu is the real thing. They have seen the light and are motivated by the possibility of achieving their health goals along with a wonderful life. Simply tell them to increase the quantity of each drink as they make their way to 6 ounces or larger size, up to a pint or wherever you're going for. It's one of the best remedies for killing pathogens, viruses, fungus, parasites in the gut, the body, which in turn frees us from food slavery and addictions.
Like I said, we got to do a urine therapy cleanse. Just that word today has so much traction.
Yeah.
The cleansing part that you can attract. I think we can attract some would-be suitors, if you will, to because the way that I see this is to make this medicine as highly sought after as possible is that we have, I think you've done an amazing job at it, Brother Sages. How many ways can we make it easy for people to do it? You know, everything from your website, all the tools are, easily accessible, all the books and everything. And this course itself is making it real, making it tangible, because you don't live in India. You may not live in a country where it's just big, right? It's not big in the US yet. However, Americans are those kind of people. If we can get it attached to the right vehicle, it will explode. And that's what we want. We want an explosion.
Well, we are pushing down that tipping point every day. And with millions of people all over the world that are practicing this. Now, if you haven't spent time on social media platforms dealing with the subject, you'll notice it's easy to create best friends for life in this community.
Yeah, I've got some really cool people that I became friends with before I knew that they were drinkers of the water. And so it started to make a lot of sense that a lot of them shared that commonality, because I had somehow tapped into a group of pee drinkers. And I wasn't in a pee drinking group. It was just, I met one guy and they keep finding you. Somehow they keep finding you. And in arbitrary ways, I got on a call to be interviewed for a podcast for a particular therapeutic or something. Next thing you know, she's like talking to me about Shimbambu. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of a calling. Nothing happens by accident. If people start showing up, they're there to bring you into the fold, to bring you into the family, to support you. Because I've been able to talk to Matt. I've been able to talk to Harry. Then they mentioned you, and I found you, and I bought the first book and then the second book. So this connection is real. I'm just blessed that you're center stage, or a lot of us would have never found this path.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's no accidents.
Yeah, you don't be surprised anymore because your face is recognizable and someone walks up to you and go, hey, I just started urine therapy. I'm so glad I got to meet you. Now I'm in what you would think would be like far, far distant place in the middle of the ocean. And I have people all the time that come up, you're the pee drinking guy. I've met 25 people on Kauai that practice urine therapy.
That's so awesome.
I'm going, it's not as so far-fetched as you would imagine when it's in your home, when it's in your community.
Yeah. And, in today's age where people are trying to find real healing, without necessarily, and a lot of people don't have the money to go work with healers and things like that. They need a opportunity to find a therapeutic pathway that is very easy to access anytime without a major monetary commitment. It has to be true, because I think of the same thing when it comes to food, right? When people say, oh, eating good food is so expensive. I'm like, well, there's just levels to the game. There's just levels to it. So what level are you at? Where's your money? Where's your level? Where's your commitment? Because and where's your priorities, right? That always has to come to the forefront before we start talking about that food's too expensive. While you're running in to buy $150 shoes to just walk around in that have Nike on them or whatever,
Yeah.
I just was explaining to my client this morning, I had a brand new Vitamix show up today to the house. Yay. After we had our first one for almost 15 years and it finally died. And no, I'm not happy about the price point of the machine because it's expensive, but that machine has saved our lives in this family. That machine has taught my kids how to make breakfast on their own in a raw state. They know exactly what it takes to make a healthy smoothie. And they know how to make non-healthy smoothies as well that are a little more fun from time to time. Sure. But every investment has to come down to how well do you want to be? What do you truly value? What matters to you? The fancy cars don't matter to me. Having gadgets that save me time and benefit everybody in the family matters. So it wasn't an impulse buy either. We already had proof in the pudding that machine is a legit machine. So we're looking forward to another 15 years. In fact, I bought the same model because I don't want a model with all the fancy screens and programs. Yeah. I didn't need those for 15 years. So why would I need it now? I think if you add the software and stuff, those machines are going to break easy. Personally, to give you another reason for them to break. I just prefer the old school.
Yeah, and your family's worth it.
We're all worth it. We're all worth bettering ourselves. And that's where the mindset piece comes in that we talked about earlier, that you got to have all 4 pillars, right?
Yep.
Do we think we're worth it? A lot of people don't think they're worth it. And they haven't faced that yet.
Right. Or they're too used to compromising and don't know how to change that habit. Waza, did you want to add something?
Just with the Vitamix being expensive, like They're basically $700 here in Japan. But if you use that once, twice a day, it's actually a really cheap machine.
Yeah, that's how you have to look at it. We use it a lot.
It's the same with sleep, like having a really good sleeping environment. If you spend $10,000 on your sleep environment, your bed, whatever, oh, that's a really expensive bed. Well, you drive around in a $200,000 car putting EMS through you because you bought a Tesla because it's the latest and the greatest. Well, you're slowly killing yourself, but a $10,000 bed's out of the question. Because it's too expensive. But you spend 8 hours in there every day,
Wow.
recharging.
It's true. It's true work. I agree with you, man. It's really about, you gotta look at the math long term. Look at the math
100%.
long term. What really matters, man? It's like that bed will make sure you can enjoy your Tesla.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you can't heal, if you can't sleep, you're not going to heal well if you have an issue, right? So
Yeah.
how good can your Tesla do that? Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, not at all. Terrible things.
So you were getting your priorities down right, and take a look. I'm constantly having to check my life and go, is that a priority? Do I need to do that? Do I need to do that? What I've been writing back on Facebook for the last couple of weeks is all those things that are distracting you, those shiny things, all the Patriot channels, everything out there we're putting our attention on doesn't bring you peace of mind. Why do it?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm constantly, whenever chance during the day, if I can do some meditation, do some prayer work, talk to people about love and kindness, and keep building momentum on top of that versus the fear and the hope that everybody else is spreading around, you have a much better chance of not being as stressed as you normally would. So be careful where you put your attention, your focus throughout the day, because it's gonna show up at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm reading on page 47, which is 60 something in your book. It's entitled Drinking Protocols. If you see it, you see it. If not, I'm just going to keep reading here.
Yep.
Taking urine orally doesn't worsen or increase any health conditions. There is a slim chance it might be very mild and unrecognizable. When we drink fresh urine in any considerable quantity, especially in the initial months of starting UT, it may create diarrhea-like symptoms, which will soon heal. Simply stop for a day, switch to topical protocols, and take the day off. Then start drinking urine again in smaller doses, like 3 to 5 ounces, and increase the proportions until you feel it's okay to do so. Oral application of urine is generally accepted practice. For anyone serious about reclaiming and regenerating their health quicker, saturation dosing, which we touched on and explained in the next chapter, will make all the difference between feeling okay sooner than feeling like your healthy self again. Because the people are just doing small amounts of oral use, they're getting results, but not as quick. They're not deepening the nutritional delivery into their body. And so I'm always encouraging people. I mean, a simple slogan that we use in this community is drink as much as you can, as often as you can.
Yes. Yes.
And knowing that there's no side effects or after effects, it can't harm you. So think about that.
On days that I'm really focused on taking it all in,
Yep.
these are my clearest days. If I miss it, like this weekend, I was on a very good schedule up into the weekend, and then we're all over the map. And I'm not perfectly prepared right now for travel. It's one of the things I'm working on, and getting my kits together and all that stuff, so that I've got a first aid kit in the car and all the things. So I'm starting to, bring all those tools together. But I noticed a huge kick up once I got back on game Monday, and I went, wow, what a big difference, man. No hunger again. You're not looking for food. I'm way more focused in my work as well. It's just the focus is there, and I'm not fighting to maintain attention. You know, because when you sit in front of these screens all day, writing wellness plans, doing Zoom calls, and all the things, you can't change the fact that those screens are impacting us, and they're impacting our nervous system, and they make us do stuff. They make you want to eat. They make you, want to do all kinds of stuff and distract you. So I feel a lot better when I'm constantly getting it in throughout the day. It's just a little ebb and flow because I want to always make sure I'm keeping some as I'm using some, to age.
Well, here in Kauai, a lot of people use the library system because they've got personal computers and printers and the ability to do a business out of a library. So I spend a lot of time in the library, either writing classes, promoting things, organizing, and I do a lot of things there. I'm going back and forth to the bathroom, taking a drink, sitting in front of the screen. After about an hour and a half between the computer, everybody around me with their cell phones, fluorescent lighting above your head, I just run out of the library and go, okay, that's it. I hit the wall.
Yeah.
And I can't stay much longer than an hour and a half in a library.
I can totally relate to that. I totally relate to that. Seriously.
And it's not woo-woo. I mean, it's one of those things you either get it or you don't get it.
You feel it. I mean, we all can feel frequency once you get to a certain sensitivity level when you clean up your body.
Yeah.
And I'm sensitive to it now. I can detect it. I don't have to know it's there.
Yep. It's the same thing with being in the public. I've got a friend is when we go to places and we're doing groups and communities and fires at the beach, she's sensitive to everybody's cell phone. As a matter of fact, when I go driving with her, she says, turn it off. Don't just put it on airplane mode. Turn it off. And first I'm going, oh, she's a little obsessive about it. OCD. I'm going, and then I started honoring that and going, she was right. Plus, you're always distracted for a notification or a text or an email.
Oh my gosh. And I'm at the point now, it's like I'm trying to turn off as many things as possible, but still be responsible in business.
Yep.
The emails are going to be there, the texts are going to be there. And I think guys or people that are of certain ages, we come from a time where we weren't attached to these for all of our outcomes. And so I'm reinstituting that in my life and in my business, that you won't find me on every platform to communicate with me, because I don't want to be communicated with like that from everybody in the world, because it's not healthy for me.
Right.
For one, I'm one individual. I don't need to be talking to 100 people a day in any capacity, unless it's one to many. Outside of that, I'm a human being and I need to protect my energy.
Thank you. It's really easy to be stretched too thin if you're not careful. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit more here. It's we're coming up to 11:15. We still got another hour and 15 minutes. You guys are hanging in there. That's a yes. All right. Newbies appreciate baby steps when starting, which we went into because they've got to go through their mental adjustments. In addition to drinking ORAN, everyone who builds a habit of practicing their favorite protocols every day can experience and discover how, in combination, they can achieve maximum benefits and a quicker recovery. Now, I don't know if I sent you, I know you got the Shivambu Wisdom Chart, but a buddy out in Canada, we put together something. I'm always working on the infrastructure for the worldwide community. This is why we built urine therapy directories and have social media platforms and all the things we put together. We put together the Shivambu, the urine therapy protocols page. And so people could get a glance and see all the protocols at a glance without having to flip through pages. And they can set up some kind of schedule or system in their bathroom so they can, refer to it whenever they need to. So we're constantly doing something to make it easier. We put together about 2 years ago, buddy out in Nashville, put together the shivalifestyle.com store so that anything, any equipment, any accessories, any supplies you need, you can get it all in one location.
Yeah.
And so it's been a joy to collaborate with a lot of geniuses and put together things that makes it easier for people to do this practice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the collapsibles collectors. The collapsible collectors.
Did you see this, Waza?
Yeah, I saw those.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like, especially as you said, when you're traveling or something like that. Great thing to have.
Yeah, that's going to really encourage me to always try not to waste, no matter where I am.
It's funny that it's considered waste now. Oh no, I don't want to waste it. It's valuable stuff.
Yep. From conceiving it as one waste to another, right?
Yeah.
So now it's an asset I don't want to waste. I want to make sure I collect every drop that I can and not waste it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spill it. I want to hold on to it. It's mine. It's me. It's meant for me.
It's only a waste if you waste it.
Yes, sir.
Which we're not going to do. So I'm going to keep reading here. Perhaps you'll discover a new protocol, which people are doing. All these protocols that I've been teaching and I've been using were introduced to me by different people in the community. It was George Johnson who brought the idea about the goggles. Matt Senna taught me about the nebulizer. Just all kinds of things. Go ahead.
No, I was just reminding myself to get that nebulizer. I'm making a note for myself.
Okay, we're talking about this, Waza. You already have a nebulizer of some sort.
Yeah.
This is a mesh infused. Inside is a screen, a mesh that converts it from liquid to vapor and steam.
Yep.
Is that one on the site, brother?
Yeah, it is. I'm hoping the link got repaired because it was broken for a little bit.
Okay.
And so, yeah, this particular model, you can either charge it with batteries, electric power cord, USB cord, but I like it battery because then you could walk around the house and do whatever you want with it. With a lifetime of confusing misinformation and ridiculous food rules, it's dogma. No wonder how many people are so obsessed, neurotic, and addicted and anxious about what and how to eat for their body. And this is part of our work, is to navigate people out of food rules and food obsessions and food addiction to be able to create their own food path that works. Because a lot of people are very confused and scared about that. Taking a break from eating, whether it's based on family, society, or religious use, is known as fasting. And without that, people eat by the clock. They haven't learned how to determine between true hunger and emotional psychological hunger. And most people will either not chew thoroughly, overeat the size proportions of their plate, or they eat too late at night.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fine tuning when it comes to our relationship with food. And so when we get to the food part, this is where we start talking to them about what are you eating? What are your choices? Are you willing to change what you're eating? Do you recognize that there's more nutrients and life force in plants than there is in cooked food, processed food, canned food, etc.? Have I given you my definition of what is considered true food for a human?
No, let's hear it.
Okay. It must have the following items. Number 1, minerals. Number 2, enzymes. Number 3, chlorophyll. Enzymes, chlorophyll, water, electrons, enzymes already mentioned. It must have vitality or a life force.
Biophotons.
Biophoton. It must be bioavailable, structured. It has to match the body as much as possible. And when you look at that list, it brings you to plant food every time. Chlorophyll, enzymes, minerals, water. It has to have water and moisture in it. So when you look at your food, ask yourself, does it have the components that my body could recognize and put to use? Ready to experience your best health ever by drinking pee and practicing various disciplines to treat the body, mind, and spirit? It's time to grab your free personal custom-made medicine and get the most benefit from UroTherapy. All right, I'm on page 50, which is, I don't know what page is in your book there. Go take a whiz, collect your water, take a breath, give thanks for what you're about to drink, and for Oren delivering every vital nutrient when it's best needed for restoring your health. Enjoy. Before going into the details with a client and teaching the protocols, here are some basics before giving consultations and guiding sessions on suggesting applications. Beginners usually start off with 1 to 4 ounces of fresh Oren in the morning or split up throughout the day. The Oren can be pure or mixed with juice, distilled water, or fresh if you're using the evolving version. Now you got to remember, once you teach them that it's an intuitive elixir, an intuitive water, it's not long before they're drinking more and more quantity than you even recommended. So you don't want to limit anybody and say, well, some people start off with 4 ounces a day. They may be already up to a pint. Because once people make a connection, they start feeling their brain kick in. They feel their energy returning. They feel their emotions being calm. They don't want to stop.
They feel balance coming.
The plasma is it's life-giving part of the blood. So people feel alive. And where can you get something like that in a pill? You can't. You cannot do it. Orange drinking during the day should be done at least 45 minutes before meals or up to an hour after eating. Spreading the time between food or medication and consuming Oren prevents indigestion or negative reactions when Oren catches up with undigested food. Practice drinking plenty of Oren during intermittent fasting periods, not eating from sundown to noon, and then increase this length of time until you're fasting only on Oren and distilled water for 24 hours at a time. Guys, when do you first start eating during the day?
When?
Yeah, do you start off with liquids, or do you, at some point, you start eating something you would call a breakfast?
Oh, I start at about typically around 1:30, 2 o'clock.
PM. Okay, between waking up and that time, you taking any liquids other than Oren?
Yeah, liquid, I'll have a little water. All my water's distilled if I drink distilled. So I might have some distilled water with some lemon. It's just basic hydration.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for until like 1 or 2 o'clock. That's when I start to feel hunger.
Okay, so you and your body have a good understanding.
It's just because I've been at it for many, many years at this point. So for me to feel hunger in the morning means I would answer the call. If I felt hungry in the morning, I would feed myself, but I typically never do. Hunger doesn't show up until the sun is at its highest for me normally. It's like, hey, you're activated. It's time to eat. I get the signal. I want to eat. And so I start with something light and work up the density from there until I'm satisfied for the day.
Good answer. Good answer. I'm the same thing. I don't necessarily want a large proportion. I just want to eat until I feel satisfied or I feel full, or I'm just going, because I'll get bored after that. I'm going, why am I still stuffing my face?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
this has been a very good month for me because I am focused on the aged, and I'm drinking higher than I've ever have, pure 100% aged at one time. So it's very new for me. But you know what I thought the other day when I took it was, well, it doesn't burn as much as tequila did when I used to drink tequila all the time. So, so if I could do that, I can master this.
yeah.
And so that's kind of just how I look at it to keep myself motivated in it. But at the same time, I'm on 100% fruit this month only as part of a challenge. So I kind of coordinated that on purpose
Yeah.
to get this deeper experience. And it's awesome. And what it's really set for me is I absolutely despise eating fruits together now. I despise it. I love mono fruit meals only. I love them. Now, salad's a little different, but I'm not having salads right now. Salads I still think about because I'm not getting that saltiness in,
Yeah.
so it's all kind of sweet stuff. But yeah, I dream about salads now. So is that so bad? Probably not. But yeah, I'm enjoying the urine and semi-looping, if you will. I don't feel like it's 100% looping, but semi-looping, and then just filling the gaps when it's time to eat with fresh fruit.
Perfect, perfect. So, yeah, well done, well done. Very, very inspiring. So we're going over to page 52. There's a picture of the gentleman, Dr. Bunmi Samola. I don't know if it's in both of your books, but he's the one who was sick in Nigeria, and his mom fed him her urine when he was 10 years old. Not only did he regain his health back, but 25 years later, he's a urine therapy teacher in Nigeria who is converting part of his property into a clinic.
Awesome.
So I hope he finished that up. He also has an herbal company, and he teaches and markets about herbs for health and healing. Fertility. The next part of this chapter is fertility. Trying to get pregnant, the best and safest method is to start urine therapy for 6 months before trying to conceive and use it moderately during the days that you're attempting to conceive. You can use diagnostic tests to determine when you're ovulating and when you're conceived, and you can gear your use accordingly. Although pregnant women are being treated successfully using UT for morning sickness or edema, some teachers believe that UT should not be used during the pregnancy without the supervision of a doctor with medical use of urine. And once again, that's personal choice there. Concerned about the natural release of toxins that might occur at this time, you can choose to honor your concerns and feelings and avoid UT, or trust your intelligence and the body, and Shivamba will, and you'll sail right through it.
0.01%, age it 0%. There is no toxicity of concern.
No, but you're dealing with people's beliefs about it. So our job is to ease their mind and reassure them that everything is just fine despite what they've been led to believe. Children. There have been several research studies that deal specifically with the treatment of children using urine therapy. Oral drops of spoonfuls of the child's own fresh urine are considered the easiest internal form of therapy for children. However, we also know, since it's not age or gender specific, that a mom's urine works just fine for a kid. Some people remember the old wives' tale about using a soiled diaper, a diaper that was filled with urine, and dabbing it on the child who had skin conditions, and the child got better.
Mm-hmm.
Some people still remember that. And we have lots of testimonials of people who their kids recovered because their mom gave them their urine, or a pet recovered because the human gave the pet their urine. I'd shared the story about the autistic young man at age 19 who he was being fed urine from his housekeeper, his caregiver. And so after a while, his shaking and his screaming and all the symptoms of being an autistic kid, you can tell the body is violently trying to shake off all the effect of the vaccines. About a couple of months into that, I called up to check, see how I was doing. And the woman who was in part of this, Catherine, she left her speakerphone on, and out of the back of the room, I could hear him shout out my name. It's Brother Sage. Isn't that Brother Sage? Well, that brought me to tears, because not only he could remember me, but he could hold a conversation and track and stay with you.
That's awesome.
So there's definitely hope for kids with autism. We've seen signs with Alzheimer's recovering, senility, all kinds of things. So always keep this in mind as you go to, no matter what health condition people present to you. There's always something we can do to turn this around. If a child agrees to eat only raw foods, especially fruit, during a healing or cleansing period, the results will be quicker. This eating lifestyle will keep children from experiencing the unpleasant symptoms of headaches, nausea, gas, from bad food combining, constipation, and inflammation. And what's always exciting is the first and second generation of hippies brought their kids up on raw foods. So myself and many others have known that from at least one generation, and now 2 or 3 generations since the 60s.
Beautiful.
So now it's become more commonplace, and hopefully there's more raw vegan restaurants showing up all over the scene. There's 2 or 3 of them here on Kauai. one's called Mandala Foods, and Micah Sky is the master chef there. He's written like 3 or 4 books on raw food recipes in gourmet style, and so they take care of the community here for those who want to go there. And I've already talked about pets and urine. Any question about what we've talked about so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Night sipping. This is optional because some people don't want to interrupt their sleep cycle, but some people get up in the middle of the night to go pee and then collect it, take a sip, store the rest, go back to bed. They feel that the extra melatonin and supplement and nutrients that in there help them to not only sleep deeper, but some get REM states much better. So that's what night sipping is. Doing this at night adds extra nutrients, especially melatonin, serotonin, and DHEA into the body at nighttime rest and regenerating cycle. And so that's optional whether you want to do that.
That's so cool because that's a homeopathic treatment.
Yeah.
So it might be a good idea for some people to make sure that they are tapping in to their water about an hour to 2 hours prior to bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
As a nightcap, as a way of preparing for rest.
Right.
An hour after eating, I would imagine, would be sufficient.
Yeah, I would suggest that.
Okay, that sounds good.
And so try it. Let us know what happens. Swishing, gargling. So if you see me, go ahead. Do you have a comment, somebody?
No, we're good. Go ahead, brother Sage.
All right. This protocol prevents bacterial overgrowth by cleaning away toxic buildup in the mouth, the tongue, and the gums. Now, swishing and gargling is pretty much the same thing. You're going to keep it in your mouth, swirl it around everything, and then you're going to swallow it. This is also good for toothaches, tongue conditions, gums, throat ache, all ailments of the mouth, and which wasn't in the book, I added bad breath, which is usually bacterial overgrowth in the mouth. Now, you got to remind people who say, well, I swooshed it and I gargled with it and I neutralized everything in the mouth and I took out all that funky stuff in the mouth. Then they usually spit it out. I said, well, if it neutralized and sterilized and alchemized everything in your mouth, it actually is now the urine. It has merged together. Drink it, swallow it. So if you ever fall into that trap, or if you see other people, they're gargling, then they spit it out, you want to bring this to their attention.
Mm-hmm. Okay, don't waste it.
Now, pulling is the Orin version of coconut oil pulling.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to swallow or spit out oil. I want to take a mini break here.
Okay, go right ahead, brother.
I need a pee break. I'll be right back. You guys want me to leave the... All right, so we got about 45 minutes here. You know what looping is all about. So any questions about looping? Basically, whatever you collect, you drink. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be fasting during the day. That just means that's going to be your fluid of choice. And there's more and more people that has been a joy to meet. That is their only fluid of choice. They don't drink distilled water. They don't drink juices from fruit. That's it. That's their water.
Mm-hmm.
So they're what I would call true blue devotees of Shivambu. When you know what you got, why go anywhere else?
Yeah.
So sip looping is basically any time of the day you have to go pee, you collect it, you take a couple sips, you store the rest for topical use. Now that idea came to me from Doc Mike Whittort. Has that name rung a bell yet?
Mm-hmm.
He is. Have you had a chance to talk to him?
I haven't spoken to him, no.
Oh, I'd love to connect us all. He's out in Chicago. He's been doing urine therapy for 25 years. He's Semper Fi.
Okay.
And He still has the work ethic of a Marine. He's 80 years old. Somebody calls him, he'll drop anything if his schedule's open. He'll fly to Ireland. He'll fly to Louisiana. He'll drive to Colorado. He's just as strong into the work as anybody. He's got a great work ethic. And he gave me the idea of sip looping, among other things. He's also the guy who's selling camel urine.
So you mentioned that last time, and guess what I just saw yesterday on my feed?
Camel urine.
Someone collecting rhino urine.
Oh, I haven't come across that yet.
This rhino, I don't know what country they're in, started taking a piss in the streets.
Yeah.
And some guy runs up midstream. It's like, we're not waiting. He's getting it in, man. He's collecting the pee.
Wow, is he going to market it or what?
Who knows what he was going to do with it? He's probably going to bathe in it or drink it or something. Because people don't just do that unless they have knowledge.
Right. There was some lady going around YouTube many years ago. She was drinking her dog's urine, and she got well and she got healed. And the media went after her and said that she was a crazy lady, and and they shouldn't be wasting their time with urine therapy. But she was proving them wrong.
She's crazy. Okay.
She was the smart one.
Yeah.
So yeah, any type. Oh, I got to shut this thing off. Sorry about that, guys. Airplane mode, focus mode. Okay, we're good. So sip looping is something you can pretty much teach anybody. If you're not already practicing at Waza, it's a really simple thing to do. And what's so great about sip looping is you can be anywhere, in your car, public bathroom, airport, airline's bathroom. I mean, wherever you are, if you got your hand out, you can do sip looping. The other thing is really far out, and I think we talked about that. No matter what they do to our food, no matter what they try to do to our ability to feed ourselves, nurture ourselves, heal ourselves, as long as you can pee, you can thrive on planet Earth.
Yeah. And
so that should bring a lot of relief and peace of mind to know that they can't kill us unless we give in to their suggestions.
Yeah. If we follow their path and we give up, yeah, we're done.
Yeah. Well, we're not those people.
No, sir.
Combining sip looping with fasting or eating raw foods creates a better environment for the functions of the body to absorb, assimilate, and eliminate. Be sure to save the entire urine output from the day. You'll be using this to collect supply for UT protocols. Begin storing and evolving half of this precious water to use in the coming days, weeks, months, or years ahead. The other half of this supply will be used in practices of your favorite topical protocols.
I'm so excited that I have 2 gallons that are coming out of rotation for long-term aging. And I still have enough to cycle through my enemas and my other therapies, my other saturations, and keeping up with, I'm essentially doing sip looping without knowing I was doing it, because I'm trying to make sure that I have some to store every day to replace what I'm using.
Mm-hmm. Well, sip looping is a form of time release. Remember those time release capsules that they came out in the 60s or 70s, and they supposedly broke apart every couple of hours?
Right.
Right. So basically you're doing your little sip looping is adding more nutrients every time you sip loop. So it's building the momentum of doing that.
Well, that's a beautiful homeopathic way of going about things. Right? Yeah. Keeping a constant, keeping the source available. If we were doing any other type of homeopathic remedy, we'd be doing that. We'd be doing it every couple of hours or whatever the half-life is of the substance that we're trying to work with, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's perfect, really. It aligns.
Sip looping, I just came up with a new pun. Sip looping is a form of drip feeding. You're totally dripping it in, and we're putting it to work. Any questions on saturation dosing? I think we kind of much went over that pretty well. Waza, any questions?
Oh, pretty good.
Okay. So as you go about your practice, you can start today. If you go practice during the week, see about adding more protocols to your practice. One of the things that I recommend is to keep a container in the shelf on your bathtub or in the shower somewhere, so that when you're in the shower and your bathtub's filling up, you can unscrew the top and you can knock out 6 or 7 protocols really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So always keep a supply there, and you don't have to look under your water closet, Ken. Find your supply. On page 63, which is different in your page, I put together something which didn't take off in the community. I was hoping it would, is to design, because people like structure. So what we came up with, and I still have the original prototype of this, is a calendar of activities. So you lay out a 28-day calendar, you create a coding system so that you'll know what each one the code is. Like O is for oral, F is for fasting, E is for enemas. You get the idea. And then on a particular day of the week, put those letters of those codes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So when that day comes around, you already know what you're going to do.
Right. Because doing all of them is too much every day. You'll burn out. I burned out pretty quick. It's a lot to keep up with to try to do it all. But in the beginning, I was experimenting. I was doing the drops. I was spraying the nose, doing the ears, the pulling and the feet. And you start adding up, and you'll be doing this stuff all day. You won't get any work done. So I like that idea of creating a schedule. That way you can get balance by rotating through all the saturation protocols throughout the week. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it varies it up. It's not the same every day. So the example is in the book. If you ever want to make up your own, it's really simple to do. Just start with a 28-day blank calendar and start putting things on days of the week and see if you can keep it up.
All right, cool deal.
And maybe it's good for the family. It's maybe good for our friends. Who knows?
Yeah, I would even take this and include it in my yearly schedule for cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
That you could program in some urine therapy only cleansing opportunities as well throughout the year.
Very much so. Very much so. Here's suggestions for storage. Now, how do you guys store? Waza, I'll ask you both here. How do you store your urine?
Glass jars.
Okay. Glass jar. What do you put on top of the glass jar?
Just leave the lid like one
Twist.
Just on top, just one twist so it doesn't fall off.
Okay. Now, what people are usually, until we have a class, they fall into this idea that it needs the air, that urine needs oxygen. So they're putting on cheesecloth. They're covering it with cheesecloth and a rubber band. They're using a flax hemp sprout bag. They're using nylon stockings, coffee filters, whatever they think will have air as porous enough and open enough that the oxygen can come in. And then there are people like me who just put on an oversized lid and it's good. Right? And you can actually screw on a lid if you want to do that because nothing can contaminate it. It's a sterile, closed environment. However, if you have those kind of lids that have metal in the inside cap and it's touching the rim, oftentimes it rusts and black pieces of it land in the urine. So the option to that, which we have at the Shiva Lifestyle store, is they have them now made of wood and silicone. And it slides in there and you don't have to worry about rust or anything flaking into your sacred water. So keep that in mind when you're storing it. Some of the things that were listed in the Damar Tantra, some of the vessels, that's what they call them, contained any of the following: gold, silver, copper, brass, iron, glass, earth or clay, bamboo bones, leather, a bowl made out of plantain leaves, And being in Hawaii, I added coconut shell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So use it in modern times, whatever it takes to store, to collect. People are very inventive. Oh, by the way, Waza, people have asked the question, should I store it in plastic? It's not a good idea to store it in plastic. And if you know me by now, I'm going to poke a hole in everything. This was asked by Harry Matadine. He said, people asked him, well, how come you store it in plastic? And so what I told Harry was that Shivambu is more powerful than plastic.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in a country and all you can get is recycled milk jugs, water jugs, for whatever reason, you don't have modern things and glass, it works just fine. So try not to get too OCD. And when people say, well, you shouldn't put it in plastic, I said, this is going to be case by case.
Right.
Don't put everything under one umbrella, one way to look at it.
And not all plastic releases microplastics.
Yeah, that's true. You have to look at that symbol at the bottom, the 1 through 7, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions about storing, saturation, anything we've covered so far?
Clear. All clear.
Good. Just remember, now we're going to meet back on Thursday, the 15th. So anything that comes up for you that you didn't ask in today's class, bring it to class on Thursday.
I won't be in attendance on Thursday. We'll be at school checking out my kids' new school
Okay,
that evening. So I'll just give you a heads up.
Okay, Waza, will you be able to come on Thursday?
Yes, I'll be able to come on Thursday.
Perfect. The link will stay the same. We record every class, so if you miss it, you can always re-watch it, or we can do a one-on-one, whatever it takes.
Okay.
All right, we're going to come into one of my favorite protocols, the foot soak.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Why do I love the foot soak so much? I'll tell you why. I'm third generation foot guy in my family. I've been a foot massage reflexologist for 47 years, so I know the workings of the reflexology system through the body. Guess what my dad did for a living?
Same thing.
He was a podiatrist.
Oh, wow.
His father was a shoemaker. I'm third generation foot guy. So when I realized foot soaks had potential, I put that into the teaching right away because all the reflexology points are on the soles of the feet, the ankles, et cetera, et cetera. And what's amazing about it is that the widest surfaces of all the skin, the widest pores are in the feet. And this is why people put essential oil on the soles of the feet, at least the ones that knew that. So when you're using a foot tub, you may not, this is a 2-gallon container. You don't need 2 gallons. If you have it, great. You want just enough to cover up to the ankles. Any idea why I would say that? Do you know your reflexology?
Oh, not enough. Not
Okay.
enough.
The ankles represent the reproductive organs.
Ah.
They represent the ankles. On the inside is, let's see, prostate or uterus. All right, so right here you got the prostate or the uterus, man or the woman. You've got the rectum over here. On the outside, you've got testes or ovaries and sciatic nerve. So you want to get up to at least to the ankle because you're going to cover the pelvis area.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right, so you're either going to need at least a 1/2 gallon to 3/4 of a gallon if you have enough to do that. If not, you can always add some warm or hot water to make it comfortable. People still think that if they put their feet in cold urine, it's going to be a shock. What's the problem? So they're welcome to add hotter water, but it'll dilute it a bit.
Yeah, I've never had any problem with it. All I've ever used is cold on my feet. I just pour it right in. It's fine. It warms up in a minute.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take long. But there are those people that, a little bit hesitant because, the cold shock to them, but
I think they'll be okay.
yeah, they'll They'll make it through just fine. Foot and hand soaks support the overall health of the body. They're useful for any form of irritation, fungus, infections of the feet, diseases, cuts, stings, bites, scratches, eczema. Foot soaks are good for nourishing all bodily functions, from endocrine, digestion, absorption, nervous system, lymphatics, elimination, immune system, lungs, and skin. I added that. It may not be in your copy if you want to add that. It also helps affect the immune system, the lungs, and the skin. According to Dr. Robert Young, you've heard of him? Yes.
Yep.
He says the largest organ in the body is not what we think it is. Do you know what he says it is?
Is it the interstitial fluid?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the cells are floating around. I never thought of that as an organ until I heard him say that. So, so the way this works is you're going to get the tub filled up. There's several ways you can do this. One is make sure you're either going to wear shorts, swimsuit, roll up yoga pants, pajama bottoms, so that you can not only, while you're in here, you're not only going to be soaking those parts of your feet, but you can also massage all the way up to your shins and your calves and your kneecap. Right? So you can get a lot done. You can also put your hands in it if you can bend over and soak your hands while you're soaking your feet. Now, if you have it in the bathtub and it's cool in your house, or the door is closed, you don't need any clothes. While your feet are soaking, you can massage your whole body.
I also, Brother Sage, I think it's a great, from my own personal experience, I don't know if it's great or not, but I enjoy it, is doing it outside.
Oh, yeah.
So I will do a foot soak outside when it's warm enough to do it, and bring my laptop out there and get my work done. And I could be out there. Sometimes I've soaked my feet for at least 2 hours just because I got lost in, just getting lost in my work. And it just helps. There's nothing wrong with staying in it longer. Most people think of foot soaking for like 20, 30 minutes, but I really found for me when I was, when I had a week consistent of at least an hour, man, my feet were just looking beautiful, man. And healing up a lot of things that I've been waiting to get better on my toes.
Yeah. Well, if you ever have a chance to do a Shivambu retreat, or if you have a retreat and you include Shivambu as one of the modalities, what we did at the first retreat in Oceanside, California is somebody went to Costco and bought all these tubs. And we had every one of the attendees in the backyard foot soaking with each other.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're sitting there in the sun with 8 to 10 people soaking their feet in their own water. And what a time. And to be able to have a community where you can share this with, and it's totally acceptable.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, we're on the section on enemas, douches, and implants. Are you there, Waza?
Yep.
Okay. A well-trained nutritionist, naturopath, or wellness practitioner, the very first thing they suggest, if they know what they're doing and someone comes up and they're not feeling well, is they'll suggest an enema. They'll suggest a colonic. That's the first thing they would go to. Let's see if we can clean up your gut and your system to start increasing the absorption, to get rid of the toxins and whatever it is that's blocking you.
I was thinking about my brain tumor client because that's where we started, and he's been working with experimental drugs for like a year and a half, 2 years. So he's very deep in allopathic. Yeah. And we got started. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to send you down the street for 3 colonics. And he was like, huh? What? I thought you were going to help me with my tumor. I said, exactly. I said, we got to start down there to clean up here. He said, what? I said, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah. And the tumor won't have a chance.
Not a chance. In fact, just this week, every month. So he used to go get this experimental drug every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then it moved to 3 weeks. Now we're at 4 weeks. And so I meet with them on Monday to go, why any weeks at this point? They're already telling you you're getting better, right? They're showing you you're getting better. You don't need this drug.
Yeah. And so is he going to take your advice? Take your
Oh
suggestion?
yeah, he's done everything thus far. I mean, he's come off of 9 medications. We have that injection and 2 others left to resolve. But I said, you need to have faith. You've been working with me for about 4 months now. Let me tell you, your tumor doesn't have any choice at this point, but to reverse. You're doing everything right. You're baking in the sun every day. You're walking like I'm asking you to do. You're doing all your therapies, getting all your nutrients in, changed your food. Now he's 100% raw right now. I said, listen, this next 45 days are going to be crazy because you finally hit the raw welcome, 100% raw welcome. And he's like, I said, it's on now. I said, we got you built up to this point, gradually changing the diet and not overstressing his body or his mind.
Yeah.
And he's strong now, and he's able to accept the raw. So it's on. I said, don't trust me. In about 30 days, you go back, they're going to wonder why you're still coming.
Yep. And you're going to have a quality of life you never had before.
That's right. We're going to pull you all the way out of this thing. Because they've never healed anyone. They don't know what it's like. I say, but you're going to know what it's like. And that's going to change you forever in your relationship with yourself and your higher power. It's going to change you forever.
Beautiful, beautiful. Just be able to empower people to be their own doctor.
That's what it's all about, man. That's my mission. That's part of my mission is I figured it out for me. I'm not that bright. I'm just sometimes I have to remind people I'm just an old Army Ranger at the end of the day that got pissed off about the issues in this country when I had to deal with my own health issues and started to recognize I had fought a lot of wars outside of this land and come back to the biggest war of my life. And that's the war of this environment and the systems that we are tied to.
Yeah.
And indoctrinated with.
Which are on their last legs.
Yes, sir.
We've noticed that.
Stuff is crumbling.
The stuff is crumbling. I've been teaching the last couple of years. I'm sure you've heard people talk about the return to the new humanity, the return to the new earth.
Yes.
Well, that's the good news. The bad news is we never left it. We never left heaven. We never left our original state, but we've been conned into believing we're disconnected from God. We're disconnected from all those abilities. And as people are peeling away all that programming, they're starting to realize, oh yeah, I've been okay the whole time.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Sometimes I meet people and on their very first call with me before we start working together, I meet a lot of stressed out people. And when anxiety and depression comes up, I go, anxiety, anxious, yeah. And I go, okay, what you got going on? Why are you so anxious? I don't know, blah, blah. So I start asking them personal questions like, how much news do you write? Are you a volunteer in an organization that's political? And we start going down those roads, and it's always the news. It's always the fighting the government and doing all the stuff. And I go, yeah, that's exactly what they want you to do.
Yep.
It's exactly what they want
you to do. Let them go.
Yeah, you got to just turn your back on the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Once you realize that's the only way. There is no other way. Everything else is placating the system that wants to kick you in the head. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to beg. They want you to beg.
They want you to beg. They want you to suck on their nipple. They want you to stay anchored to them. And the moment you stop giving your energy and attention, they have no power.
None at all.
They go away like they were smoke and mirrors, and they vanish. But you even have the freaked out Christians and going, this Armageddon, it's prophecies. It's going down right now. We got the dark and the light fighting it back and forth. I said, yeah, leave that, file that somewhere and work on your peace.
Yes, please.
Be okay with you.
We're going to need you to relax, okay? That's what we're going to need you to
Yeah, we don't need you helping those guys out. Not at all.
Save your energy.
So, let me check here. We got about 15 minutes here. So, enemas, douches, and implants, pretty understandable. You guys have either this or the bucket version?
Yep.
What do you got, the bucket version?
I do have a bucket, but I'm getting one of those for travel.
Okay. Yeah, they pack really well. Waza, what do you have?
No, I don't have one.
Would you consider getting one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, there's either soft silicone or there's the metal bucket version, and they both have the tube with the clamp, the screw-in part, and the tip at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these things are so simple to use. Once you fill them up, and you make sure you put a little lubricant on the end, you set up your bathroom so you have some kind of a system. I mean, I got it down. I can set up, use it, clean up in 30 minutes, 45 minutes if I need more rounds. And then you get it down. It's so streamlined, you can do this anytime.
Listen, I am a big enema guy, obviously being a holistic doc, but just personal experience, I just love the power that enemas bring to the table. Any client that I can get to focus on enemas just accelerates their potential so much better than the clients that fear it or won't step into that that modality. And most importantly, it just manages the journey of detoxification so much better. Constantly having the ability to cleanse the blood and get all the toxins out that people are having, symptomatic reactions to. It's just a big helper, and if people can get over that, they'll make it. A lot of people can't make it through their journeys because they're so dirty inside that it just hurts too much when they start to purge and they give up. They think that their body's going against them. And I'm like, man, if you would enema, you would feel better, a lot better.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm always preaching it because I get results instantly. The headaches go away. The
Absolutely.
cramping in the gut is gone. The back pain goes away. Your energy returns, and you wonder why you didn't do it before.
You're like, that was dumb. Why did I suffer? Why did I have to suffer?
Waza, do yourself a favor. Get an enema bag, an enema kit. It's not like you're injecting yourself. You're just putting a tube up your butt. That's
That's hilarious. That was so poetically stated, Brother Sage.
Well, it's context. You guys can understand it. For the guys in England, they're always using the word bum. Yes.
Yeah.
Bum. It's a softer
approach. You just put that thing up your bum and move on, mate. It's all right.
So, for the ladies, and they got issues going on vaginally, you get them doing the douches. It's the same kind of thing. They'll just switch out the tip at the bottom, and they'll be grateful that that area is hygienic and clean again. And go ahead.
What question? Urine therapy, douching for UTI, yeast infection?
It could be yeast infection. It could be candida.
Okay.
Whatever the infection is.
Very good, very good.
The people with UTI are getting great results. Not only because they're either douching and doing enemas, but they're drinking the urine even when they have a UTI.
Right.
And Doc Mike got me really clear with this. People with cancer were still drinking their urine when they had cancer. People with sexually related diseases like gonorrhea. People who have blood in their urine. I had a student out in Nigeria. He said, well, I got blood in my urine. I said, think of it differently than that. It's part of the urine. Drink it. 4 days later, it was gone. So we got to overcome all the ideas we had about what's possible and what our body's trying to give us as that gift. It's the same with every fluid that comes out of our body. It could be urine, it could be menstrual blood, it could be semen, whatever it is. People are
breast milk.
Breast milk. Yeah, therapeutic value.
I remember the first time I learned how just disinfecting breast milk was, because when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I stumbled over some information and I had gotten gingivitis. And I was like, I'm going to need a little bit of that milk. And she's like, what? And she gave me a little bit, and I started putting drops in the eye. Gone in 2 hours. Never came back.
Oh,
Never came back. The pain was instantly turned off when I put the first 3 drops in. Pain was gone, and you could tell things were already starting to get better within minutes. You could just tell.
Mm-hmm.
The eye stopped leaking and doing all the crazy crusty stuff, and the healing began. And so I just kept doing it every 15 to 20 minutes, put a couple more drops in, and then I was done. No more sign of it ever again. It was awesome.
Brilliant. Have you heard of anyone else in the community doing that?
Well, I read about it, so I assumed that people knew about it in the natural health space. But come to find out, a lot of people don't know. So I started sharing it. You know, I share it with people. They're like, "Oh, my wife's pregnant." I'm like, "Your wife's got a factory of medicine in her chest right now."
Yeah. Well, fortunately, you had a source in the house.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I've even recommended to some people to use their neighbor's breast milk before. I'm like, you got a neighbor that's breastfeeding? Yeah. I said, go grab some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, you'll be so happy because you will be done with whatever you got going on. It'll be done pretty quick. And they're like,
And I get a feeling they'll be joyed to be able to share that with somebody.
well, this is what I learned. Once that woman realized that she could share her milk for the betterment of another human being besides her baby, she was ecstatic about it. She was ecstatic. She goes, my friend got so excited that this worked for me. That's like, yeah, because she's a healer. And you're a healer too. I said, you get excited too if you just help somebody reverse a condition that you love in like a few hours, right?
Oh, that's really
He's like, heck yeah. I said, this is the kind of stuff we're supposed to get excited about and not run from it, you know? Run to it.
So the last thing I would show you when we're doing the douches, the implants, and the enemas is a little silicone bulb like this. They're not expensive. You usually can find them in the children's section of any grocery store. They're selling them to clean out ears, but we're using them either for implants to put in 2 ounces, and it'll absorb quite well, so you don't have to worry about having to find a toilet. And you can also use this for eyes or ears or nose or whatever. When you start getting into the mindset of how many things you can use for these protocols, this is how I found all these items. I just go down to the store and I would look at something and see it in a way that nobody thought of using it before, and I'd come home with all these new protocols. So keep your mind open to all possibilities. So we got a couple of minutes here. We're going to finish up with the ear drops. Get yourself a dropper bottle. You guys got one of these?
Yeah.
lots.
A dropper bottle, not with any kind of brand or anything, but get a dropper bottle, fill it up with your urine, and then you can be using this for the ears. You can use it for your eyes. You can use it for your belly button, just wherever you need to use it. These are good to carry. All of these are good to carry with you, good to carry in your medicine cabinet, good to keep in your car, because these are your go-to first aid whenever you have some kind of condition. So when it comes to the ears, you're either going to just drop it in there, any kind of ear challenges, wax buildup, tinnitus, any kind of ear conditions, put that in your ear, hold it in there as long as you can. Some people add a cotton ball. You know how the old school, they used to do that. And before you tip your head and let it drain.
What about deafness?
I do the same thing. If there's something going on with the way it vibrates in the ears, stem cells in there might be just the thing to regenerate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
I mean, if you can think of any condition, you already got the remedy.
Yes. Yes.
It's just a matter of getting through, I have a question whether that will or not work. Well, my first go-to would be, it works. I'll find out if that's true.
There we go.
It's the approach to using it. Forget about rushing home or scrambling through the medicine cabinet or bathroom drawers for supplies. If you have some kind of ear issue, either pee directly in that area or put it in the palm of your hand and drop it in your ears, whatever it takes. If you got something going on with your ears. Now you also got all these reflexology points along the curves of the ears.
Right.
All right. So this is like a baby body that's been turned into, and these are all going to be affected when you're massaging. Now, when I'm taking a bath, I'm constantly doing this with the urine, getting in the ears and putting in all kinds of places. So you're going to strengthen all of your body's functions. This is why making this a way of life gives you a lifestyle and a way of life you never would have thought of before.
I think this is one of the first places that I can say lifestyle actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of people say that their diet is a lifestyle, and I don't buy that at all. It's called eating.
Yeah, it's in food path.
That's just eating. It's not a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much got all of the pieces connected to truly step into a way of being that is way surpassed eating. Like, yeah, raw is part of it, you know, if you can get to that level, but we accept meat eaters, we accept junk food eaters, we really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We just know the best. So
Right.
if you can get to the best, get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you can make your way there. I know for a fact that I found urine therapy to be much easier to take on when I was not eating cooked food. Period. I got into a juice cleanse, I think, at one point, and I went, wow, the pee's really different. It was like just beautiful. It was just like awesome. There was no turn up my nose at it whatsoever. It was just beautiful, and it just had a nice shimmer to it when I released it, just barely enough yellow in there to know that your kidneys are filtering, and then you'd see the sediment, you know, that evening or the next day to know that the kidneys are working. But yeah, I just personally, the closer you can get to that piece, the better, because it can make you be more consistent. Because I think people do have issue maybe with the strong flavor that a meat eating diet can give you, for example, or a high cooked diet can give you in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to the raw. It's like night and day.
Or people taking B vitamins.
That too.
Glow in the dark pee because of the B vitamins.
Oh, they're not absorbing. They're not absorbing.
They're not absorbing, and people wonder why all that. Ken, did you ever find those roll-on doTERRA?
Oh yeah, I did. I found 3. So you got one coming, and I'm gonna fill it up.
Fill it up and send it, or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna fill it up with urine and send it to you.
Oh, how nice of you! I appreciate that.
So it'll be completely done kit when you get it.
I met a student years ago. He said, "You know what? I'm going to start marketing urine." I said, "Oh, that's an awesome idea. How are you going to keep up with supply?" I said, "You're going to have to be like the pregnant mares. You got to be standing peeing all day long." He hadn't thought about that part of it.
You didn't thought it all the way out yet. I gotta drink more. Yeah, we got another order, and you need to drink another gallon.
That's right. Get ready. So we're gonna stop here today.